Welcome to Perth Stadium. Welcome to Derby 56. Amazing to think it's only round 3, but for the Fremantle Dockers, few derbies will be played with higher stakes. They simply cannot afford to go 0-3 and lose today, and they know they might find themselves at the very foot of the AFL ladder. So much to play for. It is a home game for those in purple, and they'll face a West Coast Eagles side who should come in now with a bit of confidence after a win last week against GWS. The Dockers have made some changes in the desperate call to find some pace. Nathan O'Driscoll is now ready to go. He comes into this team, and Matthew Johnson, a young man with high hopes and high expectations, he will be making his debut as the sub for the Fremantle Dockers. The West Coast sub, as he was last week, Elijah Hewitt. So West Coast have decided they won't give Bailey Williams a little bit of backup in the ruck. That role will fall to Jake Waterman as they come up against the two rucks that have got the most hit-outs in the competition. Luke Jackson wanting to put aside the back page and be Action Jackson today, and alongside the ever-impressive Sean Darcy. The teammates together for a bit of a barbecue after their disappointing loss to North Melbourne. What are they cooking up today, the Fremantle Dockers? Great to have you with us. Clint Wilden in commentary alongside Dave Lindsay. These are always big contests, Dave, for whoever wins and whoever loses. And this one really seems like we might get a close one for the first time in some time.
Let's hope so, Clint. There's only been, I think, 8 derbies in the history of these clashes that have finished as single-point margins, and that's the real difference between derbies and showdowns. There's so many close finishes in the showdowns, not so much in the derbies. So let's hope today's one of those days where we get a cliffhanger, and for Fremantle, just can't afford to go 0-3. Only twice in the last 6 seasons has a team actually made the finals from 0-3. We know Geelong are sitting 0-3. If Fremantle is 0-3 as well, we're just about ready to rule a line through both of those clubs just 3 rounds into the season.
The banner's been raised for the Dockers. From Fremantle we come with purple passion and pride to face our rivals and rule the tide. The Dockers about to enter Perth Stadium. The pyrotechnics, the flamethrowers burst into life. Either side, 3 purple columns. The umpires make their way out onto the ground in a light blue colour. Don't often see that for those officials, but that's the colour they're wearing today. We'll be with a yellow Sharon as we welcome our experts. Someone who's played in 5 of these in the past, has won 3, Sharrod Willingham, and alongside him, former Dockers AFLW captain Inkara Antonio. Good to see you both. Massive game, particularly for your old side, Cara. Fremantle can't let this slip.
Clint, Dave, Shaz, thanks for having me, listeners. You forgot the stat that I actually haven't lost a derby, Clint. So, no, look, fantastic atmosphere already building. I was outside earlier. It's going to be an incredible game of footy. It always is. Crosstown rivals. It's always something extra, and it builds up to be a really good clash. I'm really excited to see how Fremantle react to the pressure that's obviously building within the 4 walls, but also externally as well. And off the back of West Coast, really good win, an impressive win last weekend. What else have they got to offer?
It's a very good point, by the way. What is your record, derby-wise?
I think it's 5 and zip.
5 and zip for you. I would say, as we both made the point occasionally, wish the AFLW stats were a bit easier to access. Otherwise, I would have been able to find that one out. I do remember a couple that you won here, Cara, no doubt. Sharrod, welcome to you.
Clint, thanks for having us. Looking forward to a great game.
What are you expecting today, particularly from this Fremantle side? The questions have been, I think, quite fair in their ball movement and their delivery inside 50. They can get it in there, but the way that they've been delivering hasn't been good enough for their forwards. And I would also say at times they seem to just run in a cluster rather than give their midfield an opportunity to try to pinpoint someone. How do they change that today?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think that the attitude and I suppose structure that they're using going inside their forward 50 has to work. What I haven't really agreed with, and I'll say, I don't like the attention that Jackson has been copping. I think it's undue. He's only played 2 games for the club. Let the young man settle in and get used to playing with his new teammates. I just want to say that off the bat. I think that is really, really it's unfair pressure that they're putting on a young guy who's just come into the club. But the pressure on the club as a whole is definitely there. I don't think that anyone expected them to be in the position that they're in, especially after such great development over the last couple of years from their young core that has played really well. In terms of how they get it in there, I think they've just got to show some composure. West Coast's probably greatest strength is that backline and their ability to intercept mark and cut off their forward forays from the opposition. That West Coast, if you allow them to play that way, do a great job. But if you draw them up and make them more accountable, they're not that great at then readjusting and making them play that way that they want to play. They can get lured into being caught too high. And I think that Fremantle, if they want to have any chance today, have to make sure that they utilise their forward 50 entries to the maximum, because otherwise they're just going to get gobbled up.
If they bomb it in long, McGovern and Barras, they'll have
a day out. And Barras isn't playing that great. You don't want to get him on a roll early. Don't get it in there. Don't get it in there too quick. Let the forwards get to work. And like you said, Clint, do a few patterns, open up some space, and then just kick it to space and allow the forwards in that Fremantle forward line, when they're doing work, are incredible. Let that be the strength that they can bring. Let them attack contests and work into space instead of, like you said, they're literally all just smacking into each other. It's obviously early in the season, and during pre-season everything's really clean and beautiful, and you go, all right, beautiful, let's get out there and do exactly what we've done over summer. And then you come, I think it was Mike Tyson said, you've got a great game plan until someone punches you in the face. And so that's exactly what's happened to them, I believe. And so they've got to just iron a few things out. They're not going terribly. They're just not going as well as I expected at the start of the season.
Yeah, well, you've hit the nail on the head. You're playing into the West Coast defenders' hands if that's the way you're going to deliver the ball inside forward 50. And they're number 4 for inside 50s, but 18th for their efficiency when they go inside. So they obviously need probably lower the eyes or get them out the back.
And I think that also feeding that is how well their backs are actually cutting off the opposition coming out of their inside 50. They're doing a pretty good job of setting up a wall nice and high. So Cox and Ryan are doing a good job, and Pearce, of turning it over when they're coming out. So I feel like Fremantle had a lot of in-out in-plays, but it's just like tennis. They're just going in and out.
Probably need more movement ahead of the footy. And
go back. If they have to go back and draw it out and draw the opposition out so that they can create some space in there, at least, like I said, kick it to that space that they can hopefully create, and then let the smalls, who are, I think, amazing, get to work.
Well, play to the advantage. They've got quick small forwards that we know in previous derbies especially have been very dangerous. So completely agree. You've got to work to your strengths, and hopefully they've made a few changes, and no doubt it's been addressed throughout the week how they can overcome their first 2-round blues and hit the scoreboard with more efficiency.
I said it, I think, yesterday, that Fremantle probably came off the ground after last week's loss and said, oh, well, at least we've only got West Coast next week, which you just hope hasn't crept into their heads at all this week, and you hope Justin and the rest of the coaching team, I'm sure, would not have let that get into their head, because...
It's funny you say that, because in previous years, talking from the W program, when we've lost the first couple and we've had to fly all the way home from Melbourne, it's a long flight, and you go, oh, we've got West Coast next week. There's no better opponent for mine than getting a little bit more of revenge and going a little bit harder. So no doubt that's been spoken about throughout the week. But on the flip side, we haven't spoken about West Coast. West Coast were really impressive last week, and you saw glimpses of the old West Coast, your Sheeds, your Kellys, your old boys getting shoey, got to work, and they were able to capitalise going inside forward 50. Waterman was impressive.
Yeah, I totally agree. The stalwarts did a great job, but then also the young guys coming through. I thought Jinby had a great game. I thought that Long offered a fair bit through that forward flank area and a different kind of dynamic. We obviously saw Cripsy do a great job in the forward line, but I think it was a really nice mix of the old guys doing what we know they can do, and then seeing a little bit of what we might see in the future, and some young guys showing some of their tricks. For them to have a day out, like I said, they've just got to continue to be daring. I keep saying it about West Coast. They've just got to continue to take it on. They've got to develop these guys to play and have a winning attitude. And I think to have a winning attitude, you kind of have to go, when we play the way we want to play, we can take it up to anybody, instead of being like reserved and hesitant. And I think that Waterman's a big key for them today with him probably being the backup ruckman, because Bailey J is going to have an absolute mountain of work to do up against those two Fremantle ruckmen.
Jermaine Jones had an absolute breakout game. He was immense last week. Can he have that sort of performance again? How much time would Fremantle have spent on trying to look at what he was able to do? Because the influence that he had on the game, his ability to take the game on, to play with dash, to set West Coast up. And I know that they'd tried him forward at stages, but coming out of half-back, that was something to behold last week from Jones.
Yeah, I think that's probably where he's best suited. He's only played 44 games of AFL football, so he's still one who is absolutely getting used to the game and getting used to how he can impact it and what's best. Would Fremantle have put a whole amount of time into him? I think that maybe their forwards would have watched a little bit, but I don't think as a team they'll be going, we've got to stop Jermaine Jones, which for Jones is a great scenario because he can go out there and potentially do what he's done. And I think that if he's able to do that, it will change the way that West Coast are moving the ball, and I really like it when... But he did it last year a couple of times and did an amazing job. But then, like you said, they just moved him around again and didn't really let him settle. I think that if he gets off the chain again, it could spell a little bit of positivity for them.
I'm curious, just watching the warm up. Jago O'Meara was thrown forward late, kicked 2 goals, and we thought that was a masterstroke by Justin Longmuir, and then we found out it was more that they decided to put Sam Switkowski in the middle to give them a bit more spark. Watching the warm-up again, in the centre bounces, O'Meara was back in the centre bounces and Switkowski was up in the forward line. Are you surprised that maybe they wouldn't try to mix that up to get a little bit more?
Well, no, they did that in the last, but they did it in the third as well. So Switkowski went up there when they were going to the city end and had that same impact. I think he went in there for 3 or 4 CBs and may have had 3 clearances. So it's not like it was in the last quarter, let's throw the dice and try something. It's obviously something that they've got up their sleeve. And so I don't think that O'Meara is the solution for their forward woes. But Switkowski correct. Switkowski can add a lot to their midfield. So he'll still go in there today, and I think that's a great move.
Yeah. Thoughts, Carl?
Yeah, I completely agree. At least they've got something up their sleeve and a scenario, I suppose, if what they've planned throughout the week hasn't worked, and that they know it's worked last week, especially late. But yeah, Switkowski is in the leadership group. He brings pressure. He's quick. He's agile, and no doubt they would have spoken about those different options throughout the week.
And the thing last week, Glenn, I think I said it numerous times, why did they wait until the last quarter to start playing this way? I would love it if they come out in the first quarter and just play with that freedom. You see it at the Pies. They are playing with freedom, and that's what they come out and say. They're like, we're willing to make mistakes. We're willing to take the game and be daring. And the teams that are doing well are having that come from the top down. I hope that that's the messaging that Longy can put in them this week. And same with Simo. I hope that that's what this is what you guys did last week when you played and just went on instinct. You're all talented footballers. Go out there and play football. You don't have to kick it down the line and be boring.
Sharad Wellingham and Cara Antonio, our experts here on Grandstand AFL Derby 56, coming up very shortly for you on ABC Radio Sport Digital, and now, of course, streaming on the ABC Listen app. Clint Wilden in commentary alongside Dave Lindsay, the other member of our team. Be very happy that it's not likely to rain today. That 27 degrees, plenty of clouds, but no issue with rain, and it does appear no real breeze to speak of. Bridget Lacey is with us. She's downstairs. Hello, Bridge.
Hi, Clint. Yeah, wonderful to be here. A beautiful day for footy, as you mentioned. I can feel the tension, though, at ground level. It is a Fremantle home game, and certainly I think if you're a Fremantle fan, you've got a lot more nerves today than West Coast. It feels like it means more to them today, but there's plenty of West Coast fans in here to remind them if it sort of doesn't go their way today either. The surface is looking pretty good as well after a few dry days, Clint. The starting benches for both teams today, for Fremantle, O'Meara, Wilson, Amos, O'Driscoll, and the tactical sub is the debutant Matthew Johnson. And for West Coast, Gaff, Sheed, Cole, Long, and Elijah Hewitt, the sub for the second week in a row in his second game.
Who are you tipping, Bridget?
I've tipped Freo, but not with a heap of confidence.
I think most people have said that around the state this week. Which way are you going, David? Give us your Glendinning Allen medalist as well.
Yeah, not much confidence here either, but I'm also with Fremantle, and I reckon the big fella, Sean Darcy, is ready for a big game. He monstered West Coast with Nick Natanui in the lineup last year to win a Glendinning Allen medal, and I reckon he's in for a big day today.
Sharad Wellingham?
I think that West Coast might get over the line, but Brayshaw to take the Glendinning Allen medal.
And what about Cara? Can't tell us.
Yeah, I can't.
Because you're voting on it, but you can tell us who you think will win.
I'm going to go the Dockers. I can't tip against them. I definitely can't tip West Coast, sorry. So I'm going to go the Dockers by 10 points.
Clint?
Fremantle for me in a close one. I think we will get a close derby on this occasion. And Caleb Sarong is my tip for a Glendinning Allen medal. It'll be his second if he can get it. So Sean Darcy, the current Glendinning Allen medalist, the reigning Glendinning Allen medalist. An update for you from the game that is still going on at the MCG. You can hear that game if you want to go on the ABC Listen app. Just go to the ABC AFL button. The Demons leading the Swans by 25, closing in on three-quarter time. 14-4, Melbourne, 9-9, 63. That's Sydney. And earlier today, Gold Coast, 19-point winners over Geelong. The Cats currently last on the ladder. 10-13, 73 to Geelong, 7-12, 54.
Alex Pearce won the toss, first win of the day to Fremantle, and the Dockers will attack the City end in the first quarter.
So most of the ground in bright sunshine. Derbies, there's always so much at stake, but it's not just about bragging rights in the West today. Fremantle would know lose today, and their chances mathematically of playing finals are just about done and dusted. West Coast looking to continue their rebuild. We've seen what some of their youngsters can do. They would love to put one over their more fancied rivals today and take another step in this club's development. The Dockers have won the past 3 of these games. Will that streak continue? Or will West Coast go back-to-back in rounds 2 and 3 to start 2023? So much at stake. We're going to have Sean Darcy in the middle to start proceedings, but Luke Jackson is going to be playing as a midfielder, and he's standing next to Luke Shuey. It's Derby 56. It's the Dockers and the Eagles, and it's on Grandstand AFL. Here's Dave Lindsay.
Perfect bounce to get us underway in the bright sunshine. Williams gets hands to the footy first, knocks it into space in front of Shuey, who can run off Jackson, puts the Eagles deep into attack to Darling. Came out from the goal square and held onto it just long enough. Takes the mark 20 metres out directly in front, and a chance for the Eagles to get the perfect start in Derby 56.
Well, there you go. A natural midfielder on a ruckman is exactly what happens. Shuey with the first clearance, a fantastic deep hole entry, and great mark by Darling.
His 23rd Western Derby. He's kicked 47 goals in contests against Fremantle, a best of 5 for Jack Darling. Just a couple of goals in the season so far. But Darling to the Farmer Freeway end opens the scoring with a goal. The Eagles have a goal inside 45 seconds. It's one straight playing no score here on Grandstand AFL. Sharad Wellingham and Cara Antonio, your experts here this afternoon.
Yeah, the ruck knock didn't really favour anybody in particular, but it was the speed in which that Shuey could react and get out into it. And a decent shepherd as well by Kelly just enabled him to take some ground in front. Not sure. Yeah, I'd almost definitely pay that mark. It slipped out pretty quick, but Jack Darling's gone back nicely and got himself on the board nice and early. But yeah, just that reaction time in the midfield. Jackson automatically out of the centre bounce as well and gone side forward 50.
Didn't last long.
All of 45 seconds. Ball back in the middle. Bailey Williams, bright orange boots, up against Sean Darcy. The left leg heavily strapped from the bounce. One down by Darcy, comes to Brayshaw. Hurried kick for the Dockers, trying to get back their chest. They couldn't take it under pressure. Spilled down to Schultz. Hand pass intercepted. Shuey has it for the Eagles. Gives it to Kelly, running by Duggan. Kicks West Coast to left half forward. Sliding out to Marcus Allen. He's up quickly, wheeling around against Pearce. Kicks inside forward 50. Cox flew, couldn't mark. Darling's there. Cox perhaps into his back. Yes, free kick. Tim Kelly got thrown out of the contest afterwards by Brayshaw. And Jack Darling can go back and have a shot from no more than 40 metres out, probably booting ball from 30. 45-degree angle to the left.
Cox usually absolutely gobbles those up, and it was one of those really difficult ones where Darling's carried him forward and Cox's weight's just gone straight into his back. But I like the attack that Cox had in the mindset to attack that contest because, like I said, 9 out of 10 times he likes that.
So Jack Darling looking for 2 goals in the opening 3 minutes. Here he goes from 30 out. It starts out to the right. He's missed. But he's got all of the Eagles' points so far. They're 1-1-7 West Coast. The Dockers yet to score. 3 minutes gone in the first term. 3-quarter time at the G. The Demons lead the Swans by 25.
Luke Ryan with the kick in, long in the Darcy direction. Jackson was there as well, just nudged off the ball. He works hard to win it back though. Hand pass away to Aish. Tumbles the kick towards half forward. It's knocked away from Frederick by Witherden. Roving at his Hunt. Playing in his first Western Derby since crossing from the D's. Sends his kick down the boundary line, but it's an intercept mark for Clark. Short pass. Gets it further afield. And finds Chapman. A little hesitant with his movement from here, just backward of the wing. Long towards half forward. Taberner had a quiet start to the season, but he takes that mark, hands it off to the runner in Sarong, who pumps it into the pocket. A low skidding ball out in front of Schultz. Boundary line too close. Throw in.
The mark play on there. Good intent and obviously direction to play on from Mark. I like it.
Darcy stands front position. Williams joins him. Ball thrown back in. Darcy palmed it back down. Straight to Brayshaw. Hands it off again to Frederick. Hand pass to Schultz. Fremantle still with it. Hands it off to Jackson. Jackson shoots towards goal. He puts it through. That's action from Jackson to start. And they will come from everywhere, his Dockers teammates. It is a hug-a-thon in the right forward pocket for Fremantle. Luke Jackson, his first goal in Dockers colours. It meant a lot to him too, after so much focus on him this week. He kicks the Dockers first. It's a 1-point game. 4:37 gone in the first. West Coast 1-1-7. Fremantle 1 straight 6.
I thought Brayshaw probably could have snapped that first one, but a couple of handball chains out, and we know the pressure's been on Jackson, especially externally. You mentioned it. There was a flower bag off the boot, but it's gone through.
And he makes his way back to the middle as well. Straight into the contest. I really like that. Have an impact and then get back to the middle and have a contest again.
Pressure's been on Jackson. Pressure's been on ABC's own Bo McDonald, the new ruck coach down at Freo. Sean Darcy and Luke Jackson will have Bo in the box in the next couple of weeks. I'll have to have a chat to him about that. Out of the middle come Fremantle again. Aish with the centre clearance. Long towards full forward. 2 Eagles fly and Barras takes the mark. McGovern just pulling the hands in at the right time to allow Barras to take the mark, and then he sends the kick out in front of McGovern, has to paddle for a bit and then gather close to the boundary. Kicks back inside on the 45 degrees to Williams. Across the half-back line they go. A hand pass to Witherden, and then he sends it all the way back to Barras. Most offensive player on the ground, about 40 metres out from his goal that he's defending. A good kick into some space for Petrevski-Seaton, who will come back inside with his kick. And Gaff marks. Still getting a few boos from the Fremantle fans who've got some long memories. Pretty similar area of the ground where that clash happened between Gaff and Brayshaw all those years ago. Short pass finds Cole on the wing. He sends it to half forward for Hunt.
Hunt plays on by hand, popping it over the top for Witherden. Hard up against the boundary. Kicks inside the forward 50. Frederick flew, couldn't mark. It's there for She. Got tackled, spilled out. Fremantle emerge with it. Frederick again. Hand pass for Schultz to run onto. Ball bounces twice. He gathers just shy of the wing. Kicks the left half forward, marking Taberner over his right shoulder. Hard up against the boundary. He's about 70 from goal. Pauses for a moment, looks to put it towards the hot spot. Front position though, McGovern. And McGovern goes on a bit of a run. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Out towards right half back to Petrevski-Seaton, who has it for the Eagles. And they'll start down the southern wing. The ball bounces the way to the logo for She.
Spends a bit of time picking it up, but then floats a hand pass out wide to Kelly. His hand pass over his shoulder back to Petrevski-Seaton. Sells the dummy around one, but coming a second time. Clark, great pressure, affected the kick. Clark gets the footy back. Hand passes inboard to Taberner, his third possession already. Another hand pass to Sarong. Fremantle with some dash off half back. A long kick will take them inside the pocket. And the mark taken by Schultz, who can lob it over the top. They're queuing up at the top of the goal square, and Walters walks into goal. The Eagles kicked the first, but Fremantle have responded with 2 of their own, and they lead it by 5 points after 7 minutes in the Western Derby. It's 2 straight 12 Fremantle, leading West Coast 1-1-7. You're at Perth Stadium here on Grandstand AFL.
A couple of skill errors just enabled Fremantle to put that pressure on. I think it came from Clark on to Sheed potentially. Just enabled them to slow them up enough, and then the turnover, their willingness to, I like it, they're going more direct, they're going more pace on the ball. I think it may have been Hughes who kicked it in, wasn't it?
Yep.
And it was just a smart kick out into space, and then a raffle for who ended up kicking it into the goals, and ended up being Sonny Walters.
It was a work rate back for me for the small forward, the Fremantle forwards, because the last 2 entries have been chopped off by Barris and McGovern. So a much nicer, cleaner kick inside forward 50 there for Freo.
Here's Darcy in the ruck against Williams. Moves to the fingertips, got it down, but only as far as O'Meara. He was tackled. Umpire spotted a free kick here off the ball. It's the Dockers. They'll come here to Sarong. Kick short to Aish. Put Fremantle. We thought about putting Fremantle inside forward 50. Tried to step around Sheed, and then an absolute horror. Dribbled along the ground. Darcy couldn't get there. Petreski-Seaton could for West Coast. Gave it in turn to Kelly. Kicked up in the air. Pearce couldn't gather. Oh, flying through Young. Gathered it beautifully. Kicks to a one-on-one inside forward 50 at the back. Darling marks and plays on. Runs it along the ground for his second. West Coast. So quick. They respond. And they've got the lead back by a point. 2-1-13 to 2 straight 12. 9 gone in the opening term. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Fortuitous bounce there, but you've got to take them when they fall into your lap. And Long's attack on the footy was great. I think that the quick change of angle as well just suited Jack Darling in that forward 50 and made it a little bit hard for Cox to get into the right position. Potentially a hand in the back, but we're seeing that you know the rules have changed to enable forwards to own that space behind, and a really, really fast transition.
It's all in the one motion, wasn't it? Umpire decides to toss it in the air rather than bounce in the middle. Darcy wins it down straight to Sheed. He's dispossessed, but the loose ball comes to Jinby. Hand pass off to the ruckman in Williams. Sends it high and wide, and Oscar Allen, favoured by the kick, diving out in front, marks. Gave Pearce the slip. He's marked 40 metres out. The angle pretty tight, about 45 degrees right of centre.
Pretty high-flying torpedo there, and I think Alex Pearce off the ball lost his footing and gave Allen much space to lead into and took a diving mark in the end.
It would have been one of those absolute shockers to read as well. It would have been floating in the air, and
I think he winded himself too. He landed on the ball. He got up a little bit worse for wear, and he's taken a few deep breaths.
Only 1 goal in Derby so far for Oscar Allen. This is his 6th clash against Fremantle. Kick looks as though it's a little to the right. It's swinging back, but just missing. So behind for Oscar Allen. 2-2 West Coast. Fremantle 2 straight. We're approaching the 11-minute mark of the first quarter.
Ryan goes quickly into the left back pocket. He finds Young, who marks for Fremantle. Not sure where to send this to. Gets told to play on. Trots towards left half back, and then the kick goes in that direction. Allen wins it down against Pearce. Shoveled towards the boundary line by O'Meara. That'll be a ball in. Update at the MCG. 6 minutes gone in the last. The Demons lead the Swans by 24. Earlier today, Gold Coast by 19 over the Cats up at Carrara. West Coast by 2. 11 gone in the opening term. Ball bounces around. Darcy tried to get a hand pass out. Taking it over the boundary line is O'Driscoll for the Dockers. Throw it back to the umpires. Again, the light blue for a rare occasion today. Darcy against Williams. Darcy front position. Williams tries to work his way around. Darcy front position, won it down. Sarong couldn't take it. Williams picks it up. Tackled by 2 Freo players. They locked it in immediately. O'Meara came one way. Wrapping him up the other was Darcy himself. Will ball it up again on the southern wing.
Umpire sets the ball into motion pretty quickly. Darcy hooks it down towards O'Meara. Sends his kick towards half forward. Interference there on Amos. Hand on the shoulder from Barris. Quick release with the hand pass again to Brayshaw. Kicks it long, looking for Henry. It clears his head. At the back, Tabernar chasing the footy close to the boundary. Boundary wins. Tabernar tried to flick it back into play, but it was just over the line. So a throw in right forward pocket, City end.
Definitely a clear direction, I reckon.
That launch pad, it's almost like they're not allowed to get back off the mark.
Handball receives and get the ball in quickly.
On 3 or 4 occasions now when the mark's been taken, or a free kick around 60 out from goal. Quick dish off to a runner. Throw in, Darcy in front again. Pats it back towards the line. Sarong first to it. Scoops it up, but immediately tackled by Jinby. Carried over the line. Boundary umpire to do it all over again. 25 out, right forward pocket. West Coast by 2 points. 13 played in the first quarter.
Good crowd in. Upwards of 55,000. Ball back into play. Darcy palmed it back towards the corridor and backwards. Brayshaw might have been held without it. Flicked it back. Taken by Petreski-Seaton. Ugly hand pass found its way to Williams. And Chesser around the body. And this time's the kick. Only as far as Clark, who marks for the Docs at right up forward. Oh, lovely lead coming out Amos. It's honoured. And he marks it for Fremantle. Better than a 45-degree angle to the right. He'll start just in line with the right hand behind post. And he'll put boot to ball from 45 out.
That would have been the first time in a while that we've seen a lead-up chest mark in the Fremantle forward 50.
It's a good lead.
Great lead.
Always nice to see them when they're honoured by the player in possession of the footy. Now can Amos go back and convert. Boots cross the 50. Sends it on its way. Normally a very good kick. We're right behind it. He steers it through. Jai Amos puts Fremantle back in front at the 14-minute mark of the opening term. Lovely set shot.
Fantastic kind of pressure, really, from that forward line of Freo. Williams, the ruckman, had to slam it on the boot, and then the turnover right at the top of the 50, and it was really good by the forwards. There was a lot more movement than previous forward entries. It opened up the big hole, and Jai Amos was able to lead straight into it, and a fantastic set shot kick on his left. I'm really impressed with this young kid. We saw glimpses of him last year, and I'm really keen to see more of him play this season.
Fremantle 3 straight 18. The Eagles are 2-2-14. 15 gone in the opening term.
Third lead change already. Jackson in the ruck opposed to Waterman, who doesn't contest it. Jackson pats it straight down to Waterman, and there's a free kick. A little bit of time spent working out who it's going to. Switkowski in the end has the free kick. And then another hand pass releasing Aish from the centre line. Long to full forward. Amos the target again, wrestling with Hearn. One bite of the footy. Was he dragged? He was. Hand across the shoulder as he went to take the second grab at that mark. And Hearn infringing from behind. And Jai Amos a chance to kick 2 goals in a minute.
They're obviously backing in their genuine one-on-ones ahead of the footy, Freo. They want to move the ball quickly, catch their defenders, the Eagles defenders, off guard, and not too sure if there was much in that, but again, Amos has his set shot to make it 2, hopefully.
Jai Amos. His first game for the season last week was goalless, but he's got a couple on the board already in the first 16 minutes of the Derby. Fremantle 4 straight goals, 24. West Coast to 2-2-14. And Bridget Lacey is our boundary rider.
Yeah, it just looks to be a slight concern for Luke Ryan here on the boundary. Came off the ground and had a quick chat to the doc, and now the physio's working on him, stretching out those legs and hips. And we know he had back trouble in the pre-season, so we'll keep an eye on him.
Shannon Hearn is the professional at making it very difficult for his opposition to move. Just had his arm over his shoulder.
That first one, wasn't it, I think?
Yeah, just so that he couldn't get his arms up to grab the footy. And a beautiful finish again. He goes in so slowly, doesn't he?
Walks almost.
He walks.
But it's
very strange.
It's a beautiful kicking action.
It works, so.
It's dead straight.
Yep. The bounce, Jackson got the fingertips to it, diving over at Brayshaw, couldn't pick it up. Ace tried to emerge with it, then stolen away by Shuey. Takes a bounce. The Eagles sends it inside forward 50. Marked there by Allen. 49 out, pretty much right in front.
we're seeing some free football, aren't we? It's not dour contested. I mean, it's obviously tough in tight, but as soon as both teams are able to get it on the outside, they're finding it pretty easy to move the footy.
It feels like both teams want to move the ball as quick as possible, which is working. It's a high-scoring game so far.
That's terrific to watch. Luke Shuey burst away through the middle. Here's Oscar Allen. 52 out from goal. Looked pretty good off the boot. It's through for a major. That's a big goal for West Coast. Especially after Fremantle looked like they might have been taking some sort of control on the scoreboard with back-to-back goals from Jai Amos. Oscar Allen responds. And we've got a 4-point margin again. Fremantle 4 straight 24. The Eagles are 3-2-20. 18 gone in the opening term. Grandstand AFL from Perth Stadium. Our experts, Cara Antonio and Sharad Wellingham.
It is just going to be a question of who can, I suppose, stay most positive before one of the coaches goes, look, we're too open, we're too exposed on turnover. It's kind of going to be like a game of cat and mouse, I reckon, until one of the coaches pulls the trigger and tries to slow it down a bit. Hopefully they just let it keep going. But a lot of coaches don't like getting scored against.
All the tools doing the damage. Darling a couple. Oscar Allen a goal. Jackson and Amos on the board already for Fremantle as well. Out of the centre bounce, it's West Coast through Kelly. Hurry kick forward, gains about 30 metres. Gaff had it knocked away from him. Collects again, runs straight into a Henry tackle. Paul Giles pass free. Jinby out the back to Sheed, and then another defensive hand pass towards Duggan. Hurry to kick up the line. A couple of Eagles being carried over this time by Henry. We'll see a boundary throw in right beneath our broadcast position.
O'Meara playing forward again for Fremantle at the moment.
And Shuey also came off the back end of the square, which makes me think he started in the defensive 50. Yeah, he's playing as a backman at the moment, Luke Shuey.
Switkowski into the middle.
Boundary throw in, Darcy in front of Waterman. Knocks it to his own advantage, but Jinby gets in there first. Hand pass was ineffective. Through comes Cole. Now Waterman slapping it forward, but straight to Clark. His hand pass virtually directly to Shuey. A fumble, but then able to slap it towards Jinby. Hands it off to Kelly. All this on the wing in front of our broadcast position again. Eagles combine through hands and get it to Cole. Long in the Darling direction. He's got a couple of goals already, but Cox too good in the air this time. A strong fist straight to Chesser. Gathers it at centre half forward. Hand pass to Ryan and then off towards Gaff. Another one to Hearn. He's 55 out. Hoists it high, deep into the pocket. Getting back Pearce. Watching it come over his shoulder. Takes a well-judged mark. Left back pocket. Wants to switch play. Kicks across the face of goal. And Henry now in the right back pocket.
Henry just has to pause for a moment. It's beyond defensive 50. Turns it over. Taken by Kelly. Running by Cole. Bounces off Brayshaw. Shares it around with Chesser. Back to Cole. Into the right forward pocket. Allen sliding out onto his knees. Marks 45-degree angle to the right. He's marked at 45 out from goal. Can go back and look for his second and to put West Coast in front if he kicks truly.
Just wasn't the right kick or decision from Henry. He had numbers down the line. He tried to probably bite off more than he could chew. Quick turnover, and as we've seen, both down ends. The running activator handball to free up and then hit Allen. Fantastic kick to space.
Oscar Allen missed all of last season. Here he is doing some damage early on, and that kick is perfect. He's got his second. Things look bright in 2023 for this young man. The Eagles retake the lead, 4-2-26. To the Dockers, who have 4 straight 24, 21 minutes gone. Opening term Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and Sport Digital, and now streaming on the ABC Listen app from here at Perth Stadium.
Luke Shuey just impacting and being in nice, smart positions behind the ball. Then I know it fell into his lap, but the fact that he was in that position, I really like him being behind the ball. And then, like you said, Tom Cole's, I suppose, mentality and the willingness of both teams at the moment to play on when they are in that damaging 50 to 70 out. It is just enabling their forwards to get to work and find space.
Highly entertaining start here at Perth Stadium. Most seats taken inside the venue. The Rucks go at it again. They share it. Kelly couldn't take it. Shuey coming off the half-back line again. Leaves it behind. This time Aish comes in. Dragged off the footy. Players dive in from all directions. We'll need a secondary bounce to clear it It appears. No, it spills out the Eagles' way, but Darcy first onto it. He's immediately tackled by Shuey, but tackled high. And the Fremantle ruckman will get a free kick about 10 metres backward of centre. It's all one-on-ones ahead of the ball for Sean Darcy. Heads out towards left half forward. Jackson the target, opposed to Hearn. Hearn used the body well. Can't complete the one-hander. Follows up with a hand pass at the feet of Kelly. His hand pass almost straight up in the air. Jackson had a crack but couldn't take possession. Jimby out the back door. A hand pass to Shee. Gives it back to Jimby. Clever use of the left boot. Spots up Hunt at centre half back. Floating hand pass over the top. Can set up Witherden.
Witherden has it. Thought for a second about what to do with it. Pops it up in the air towards centre wing. Just forward of that. And long marks under pressure from Ryan. He'll wheel inboard, kick towards full forward for the Eagles. They fly off hands out the back. O'Driscoll got there first for the Dockers. Gave it to Hughes. Hand pass back to Young. In his own defensive goal square. Hand pass across the face of goal. Cox just gets the kick away beyond defensive 50. Bounces though to Hearn at right half forward for West Coast. Stabs it into the chest of Duggan, who marks where the boundary line meets the arc of 50. Plays on quickly. Wants Allen! Leaping up over Cox. He takes the mark, crashing to the turf. That's a good grab. And he'll have a shot from right full forward, putting boot to ball from no more than 10 metres out.
That all happened off the halfback from West Coast. They had better balance around the contest. They were able to chain the ball out. They got numbers, willing to run. And then really a fantastic leaping mark by Allen. He's gone back for his third. Fantastic stuff.
It's certainly having an impact. And Duggan was in a position where he just...
Allen snaps around the body. He's got three. He's got the past three of the game. And he's given West Coast a very handy lead. They're out by 8 points, 5-2-32. The Dockers are 4 straight, 24 gone in the opening term. 3 goals in the first term to Oscar Allen.
Yeah, he's just being in the right positions. And I think I said it about Fremantle, what they want to do, and we're seeing it from West Coast. They're creating space for each other and using it. And instead of just putting it on Oscar's head, the times that he's got it is because he's led to a nice free space. That one was Liam Duggan who got it in. He had a free kick out, or a mark out on the forward flank, and just his mentality to wheel and go and get it in there as quick as possible. He can look a little bit clumsy, but he just manages to pull it off.
His surname's on the medal, not for his own name, for Ben Allen, of course, but he's edging closer to getting a medal of his own here. Dockers have worked this forward of centre, but with no clean possession. Jinby has it, he's well tackled. And we'll get a ball up. Saw Ben Allen just entering the seating area beneath our position up here in the 4th level, down on the 3rd level where the flash seats are. Out on the ground presenting the medal at the end of today. Frederick from the stoppage, centre half forward, kick towards full forward, coming out of the goal square. Unable to hang on this time, O'Meara. Clever little tap from Amos, sliding a boot in at it was Schultz. But it's out to the right and just to behind. The first blemish for the Dockers today. They're 4-1, West Coast to 5-2. 25 minutes gone in a high-scoring first quarter.
O'Meara out of the goal square again.
With it beyond defensive 50. Coming in from the side was McGovern. Couldn't get there. Sarong threw it on the boot. He'll wait for Hearn. He waits for the bounce. Hand passes to Hunt. Broke one tackle of Schultz. Hand pass again. Oh, Jones crunched by Aish. Nothing wrong with that. Good solid tackle. Takes him to ground. She went crashing in as well. A little bit of afters there. They picked out a free kick here. It's gone the way of Aish. Aish for the Dockers towards right full forward. Jackson's there. Barris got a fish to it, and then Gaff can't quite keep it in under pressure. I reckon he was happy to see it out anyway. Throw in at 20 out from Freo's attacking goal. Right forward pocket at the city end of Perth Stadium. The Eagles are 5-2-32. The Dockers 4-1-25. 26 gone in the first.
Darcy again to the front, slaps at goalward, but Duggan swooping through, takes possession. Hand pass away to Cole. Tumbles a kick into the wide open space as it continues to run. It'll go over the boundary and that'll be a free kick. One of the easier decisions for insufficient intent that we'll see today. And now O'Driscoll to get the free kick at left half forward, southern side of Perth Stadium. He stepped back into play, so he's called to play on. Kicks it to the pocket. Barris and Brayshaw go at it. Neither can mark. Clever hand pass. Schultz away to Brayshaw. Hooking it to the goal square is Jackson. Amos got his hands to it but can't take the mark. Quick clearing kick only just gets outside the attacking 50 for Fremantle, where it's marked by Wilson. Almost every player on the ground inside that 50-metre arc. And now Wilson's going back.
Having a shot, is
Yeah, it looks as though he's at least giving the impression he's having a shot. The umpire's going to give him 30 seconds.
Also, Waterman's given him 5 metres there because he juggled that mark for a fair while after the first grab.
Yeah, and the man on the mark, that is Waterman, only 50 metres out. He sets it up to the top of the goal square. All the tall timber there. Jackson with a big leap. Unable to take the mark. Duggan's tackled and drops the footy. Umpire calls play on. Top of the goal square. Through comes Walters. He's tackled and tackled high. And his attack on the footy has earned the free kick there. Michael Walters, a chance to kick his second goal of the afternoon.
Well, that's what happens. I need to see the replay. I'm not too sure if there was much in that one. But what happens when the ball gets brought to ground, you involve your smalls. It's a highly contested hot footy. You attack it. Yeah, he probably drove with his head a little bit, maybe a little bit lucky.
He always drives with his head.
But again, get the ball in your hands.
He went hard at it, though.
100%. Put the defenders under pressure.
Second kick of the day for Michael Walters. Second goal of the day. So Walters becomes a multiple goal kicker as well. And Fremantle are back within a point. They're 5-1, 31. West Coast are 5-2, 32. We've played 28 minutes in the first quarter. There's still 4 minutes to play to go. Bridget is on the boundary.
Yeah, Luke Shuey just came back onto the ground for West Coast. He's got some fresh strapping just on his right elbow after having a quick chat to the doc on the bench, but looks good to go for the rest of the match.
I didn't mind the kick from Wilson. I think he obviously gestured that he was going to have a shot, but just put it to a dangerous position on the ground. And it wasn't a high loping or high weighted kick either. It was a nice punchy kick. I know, got in there nice and quick.
I know Walters has attacked the footy, which is tremendous, but I'm not quite sure what McGovern is supposed to do.
Not tackle him?
Yeah, you can't not tackle him. I think Freo, they've got one there. Bounce of the footy towards the outer side. Williams won it down, but it went to Jackson. Goes back by hand to Aish. Might have been taken high. Shuey tackled well by Aish. That is holding the ball. Aish has it for Fremantle in the centre square. Kicks towards Clark. Marking for the Dockers on the logo. Northern wing beneath our broadcast position here. West Coast by a point. About half an hour gone in the opening quarter. Clark stabs it short and finds Sarong. Still on the logo. Glances inboard for a moment. He'll go short again to Wilson, who marks on his chest. It's a slow, deliberate build-up from Freo. Wilson into the right forward pocket. Here comes Jackson. Got hands to it in a pack. Couldn't mark it though. Cole on the ground. Got a hand pass away. Taken then by Hearn, who moves it short towards Duggan, who marks. And then diving out Ryan. Can't keep it in. Up against the boundary line at left half back for the Eagles. We've got ourselves a throw in. 5-2-32 the Eagles, 5-1-31 the Dockers. 30 minutes gone, opening term. The Demons by 24 points at the MCG over the Swans. Got about 25 minutes there in the last term.
Boundary thrown at right half forward off the hands of Darcy towards O'Driscoll. Leaping in to assist. Sarong tackled quickly. We'll get a ball up.
Seeing some nice interplay at the stoppages with Jinby trying to get to Sarong.
Darcy palms it straight down the throat of O'Meara. Hurried kick gets it to the 50-metre arc. No one can take clean possession until Hearn grabs it. Swings a hand pass to the outside. Shuey lays it off by hand to Duggan. This time, Ryan drops it again. Liam Ryan for the second time on the receive from Duggan. Spills it over the boundary. And we'll get another throw in, this time closer to true centre wing position. Still in Fremantle's attacking half. West Coast leading by a point late in the first quarter.
All spun back into play. Darcy, front position, won it down. O'Driscoll couldn't take it. Long slapped it out for the Eagles. Toe poking it forward. It's Kelly. Ball bounced towards left half forward for West Coast. And Chapman's happy enough to see it over the boundary line.
Looks like at this point as well, Fremantle are sending another one into the stoppage, which is allowing a +1 for West Coast in defensive 50. So if they win the clearance, they need to be smarter with the disposal going out.
Spun in again. Darcy palms it down. Straight though to Jinby. Try to get it to Shuey. Couldn't gather. Kelly could. 10th disposal of the day for him. Have it in turn to Hunt. Kicks inside forward 50 for West Coast. Pearce is there for the Dockers to Chapman. Hand pass to O'Driscoll. Quick hands again onto Wilson. Kicks high up in the air. Will it stay in play? Only just. Bounce in front of the interchange gate. Switkowski tries to knock it down. Can't do so. McGovern looked to have it. Was he held without it? No. Jackson emerges with the football for the Dockers. Gives it to O'Meara. Kicks up in the air high towards right half forward. Barris flies and he's been paid the mark. Right up against the boundary line, left half back for West Coast. They're still 5-2-32. The Dockers 5-1-31. 32 gone in the first. Kick is short. Jeremy McGovern marks for the Eagles.
Such a long first quarter, nearly 32 and a half minutes gone, and there's still just about 2 minutes of game time to go. It's the first time in a derby that both teams have kicked at least 5 goals in the first quarter. Have had some higher scoring quarters, but normally with one team totally dominant. Hunt with the kick now from half back. Making a contest, Williams. Darcy's juggled it. Did he get it all? According to the umpire, he did.
Well, we saw Williams as well just try to gesture the umpire and tuck those arms away nice and quick.
He pulled them out for a moment, didn't he? But they came in just as quick as they went out. The kick down the line from Darcy to a contest. McGovern, was he shoved in the back? Not according to the umpire. Might have almost been tackled high by Switkowski with the second tackle. No free kick either way. Hunt again tumbling a kick forward. Darling in front of Pearce, who makes the spoil. Oh, Liam Ryan with the fancy footwork. Finds some space now, 60 metres out. Sends it long to the open goal square. It bounces on. Needed a leg spinner. Got the top spinner. Out of play. Boundary throw in alongside the right hand behind post at the Farmer Freeway end. Deep in West Coast attack. They led it by a point.
Poor decision from Ryan then as well. It had to honour the lead up of Waterman. Small percentage play there.
Boundary umpire puts it back in. Both rucks missed it. Darling doing the ruck work for the Eagles. Petreski-Seaton got it back to Shuey. Snapped around the body. Only one player back defensively. It's a Docker and it's Ryan who takes the mark at full back. Right arm boots about to meet Yellow Sharon as he kicks with the right boot beyond defensive 50. Williams is up in a pack against Jackson. No one can take the mark. Emerging with it, Sarong. Hand passes forward to Walters. Arches the back. Gets past Duggan. Sends it inside a fairly vacant forward 50. Barris gets there first. He's got Amos right with him. Amos holds him. Surely he did. And Barris will get the free kick. And he'll have it at left full back. He'll move it short to Duggan, who marks. He's in the left back pocket for the Eagles, who remain in front by points.
Probably wasn't the right kick. He had Frederick on the far side. He was on his left, Sonny. Probably should have just popped it over to Frederick. Certain goal.
Wasted opportunities at both ends late in the quarter, but what an entertaining first term we've had in the 56 Western Derby. There's just a point in it at quarter time. West Coast 5-2-32. Lead Fremantle 5-1-31.
And the goal kickers for the Eagles, 3 to Oscar Allen. They came at a rush too in the 18th and the 22nd and then the 24th minutes. Jack Darling kicked 2 as well. He kicked the Eagles' first 2. While for Fremantle, 2 to Amos, 2 to Walters and a single to Luke Jackson. So the Eagles by a point at quarter time, as Dave said, in Derby 56, wherever you're listening, on ABC Radio, ABC Sport Digital, and now, of course, streaming on the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
Simone Young is one of the most talented conductors of her generation.
When I started, I faced considerable opposition.
Executive producer Kate Blanchett takes us into the world of one of our greatest conductors.
In 1991, there were no women conductors.
What does being a woman have to do with conducting?
She's not afraid to just be a boss.
Simone Young.
She was born to be a conductor.
Knowing the Score.
It is magic.
Streaming now on ABC iView. Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
In front of Shuey, who can run off Jackson, puts the Eagles deep into attack to Darling. Came out from the goal square and held on to it just long enough. Just a couple of goals in the season so far. But Darling to the Farmer Freeway end opens the scoring with a goal. The Eagles have a goal inside 45 seconds.
Straight to Brayshaw. Hands it off again to Frederick. Hand pass to Schultz. Fremantle still with it. Hands it off to Jackson. Jackson shoots towards goal. He puts it through. That's action from Jackson.
Fremantle with some dash off half back. A long kick will take them inside the pocket. And the mark taken by Schultz. They can lob it over the top. They're queuing up at the top of the goal square. And Walters walks in a goal.
Shares it around with Chesser. Back to Cole. Into the right forward pocket. Allen sliding out onto his knees. Oscar Allen Missed all of last season. Here he is. Some damage early on, and that kick is perfect. He's got his seconds. Plays on quickly. Wants Allen leaping up over Cox. He takes the mark, crashing to the turf. That's a good grab. Allen snaps around the body. He's got 3. He's got the past 3 of the game.
Able to take the mark. Duggan's tackled and drops the footy. Umpire calls play on. Top of the goal square. Through comes Walters. He's tackled and tackled high. Second kick of the day for Michael Walters. Second goal of the day.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
At the MCG, the Demons have bounced out to a 50-point lead now, closing in on full time. In fact, it's just gone full time at the MCG. Melbourne 21 goals, 8, 134 to Sydney 12-84. Big win to Melbourne earlier today. Gold Coast by 19 points over Geelong, 10-13-73 to Geelong 7-12-54. And here at Perth Stadium in Derby 56, the Eagles 5-2-32 to Freo 5-1-31. What do our experts make of it? Sharad Wellingham and Cara Antonio on Grandstand AFL.
It's a tough one because I don't really know what the coaches would be thinking right now. You kind of try and play devil's advocate and think, what are the coaches going to be unhappy with? They've obviously gone out with the mentality of trying to take the game on, and both teams have been able to do that. So that's a tick. But how are they going to halt the opposition from doing it? We saw Fremantle send that extra up to the stoppage, and that enabled West Coast to have the free behind the ball. I don't know if we saw much reward for Fremantle in the midfield, and then not much reward for West Coast having that extra behind the ball. So it was kind of like a stalemate. So what are they going to be able to muster up to try and halt the opposition? Because, like I said, both have probably give themselves a tick in terms of wanting to move the ball nice and fast and be effective when they went inside 50. They both had 13 to 15 inside 50s in favour of Fremantle, but it was the marks inside 50 that was 7 to 3 in favour of West Coast. So probably a tick in terms of their efficiency when they went inside 50 for West Coast trying to get a mark, but it was still really even in terms of their effectiveness getting it inside there.
Yeah, for me, Eagles much more efficient going inside, as you mentioned, Shaz, and they look a little bit more dangerous. It's much more open from their point of view. For me, Freo plus 18 in hit-outs, but it's 10 apiece in the clearances. So I reckon that's why they've probably sent the extra number in, to try and use their dominance in the hit-outs and in the ruck to generate some form of, I suppose, penetration forward, but it's just not working at the moment. West Coast Eagles also plus 13 in ground balls, so they're working hard on the ground.
It looks like the contest that Fremantle have won and got those clearances has potentially been from a couple of free kicks where they've got away with it, whereas West Coast, I think, has looked a bit better on that, like you said, just spreading quicker.
100 possessions for West Coast in the first quarter, just 73 for Fremantle. And as the experts have just mentioned, the marks in the Eagles' favour as well, 26 to 18 inside 50s. Fremantle lead that count 15 to 13. 19 hit-outs already for Sean Darcy, just 3 so far for Bailey Williams. So total dominance in that area of the ground for the Dockers in the first quarter. Leading possession winners, Kelly with 11 for West Coast, Hunt with 8, Duggan 7 and Jimby 7. While for the Dockers, 8 for James Aish and 6 each to Schultz and Sarong.
Worth mentioning Luke Shuey with 6 disposals, but he's been involved in scores on 3 occasions. 5 of those possessions, contested possessions as well. And Eagles captain's been busy. Darcy against Williams. The Dockers going to the left of our broadcast position in this term, the Farmer Freeway end of Perth Stadium. And the bounce, Williams flies, wins it down, bounces around. Shuey couldn't get there, was taken out of it by Darcy, who'll get the free kick. Have it in the middle of the ground, just standing. The Shadows made their way across Perth Stadium. He pauses for a second to look for an option. Nothing immediately presents. He goes on a short run. Shuey puts the Eagles deep inside forward 50. They came from everywhere. Front position, Chapman, good mark. Had enough on it, was knocked away from his hands, but certainly enough purchase for the mark to be paid. He has it between fullback and centre half back. Kicks beyond defensive 50. Darcy against McGovern. Comes down towards Sarong though. Gets it onto Brayshaw. He was tackled by Shuey. Shuey will win the free kick and win possession of the footy. Jones runs by. That's ignored. And goes short if he wants Shuey to Hearn. He does by hand. Hands it off to Jones. Not a great hand pass. Did well to gather. And then kick quickly inside forward 50. And Clark leaps up and marks for the Dockers between fullback and centre half back.
Good defensive structure from Fremantle early, and now Clark swings it long and wide. Barras flies in the air on the wing, but it gets over the back. Walters leads in the race, paddles towards the boundary. He'll be happy to see that over. He was outnumbered. So a stoppage is a good result for Fremantle on the southern side wing.
Yeah, big win for Fremantle there. Tommy Barras, like I said pre-game, would usually be gobbling them up, but good body work from Sonny Walters.
2 marks for Barras and 4 kicks so far today. Hasn't started the season in the same form that he played most of last year, winning the best and fairest. Darcy down to Sarong. The next hand pass misses the target. Frederick applies a good tackle.
He had his second child over the summer, so getting used to maybe
a little bit less sleep, perhaps.
Having one's all right, having two's like 10, isn't it?
Yeah, you're pretty much tagged once you've got 2. There's one for each of you then. Shuey comes through the traffic. Hoists it high and wide, close to the line. Sarong comes across to knock it away from Sheed, and we're out of play again for another throw-in on that southern side wing. It's West Coast by a point, 2 minutes in the second quarter.
Reliably informed, the younger one's not a great sleeper.
You've been there, haven't you?
Been there, done that, still there. Know those challenges. Ball spun back into play. Darcy palms it down with the left for the Dockers. Sarong over the top of him was Shuey. Umpire called for the free kick. It was there. They looked to move it on for a second, but no advantage. It'll come back to Sarong to take the free kick. He puts Fremantle into the centre square to Aish. Running by Clark. Now towards Young. Just gets the kick away and finds Witkowski. Oh, sneaking in from the side in front of Witherden. That was cleverly done. The kick just got away at the last minute from the boot of Young before he was tackled, but the inside 50 perfect, and now Witkowski from right in front can go back and kick from 40 out.
It's great pressure by Ryan as a high forward, but just really good reaction from Witkowski. That's when you know you're on as a forward, when you're on your toes, ready for any ball coming in.
It was a wobbly old kick inside 50, but it worked. Here's Witkowski, boots across the 50, kicks on its way. Fremantle back in front. Witkowski doesn't miss from 40 out. The Dockers have their 6th, 6-1-37 to the Eagles 5-2-32. We've travelled 3.5 minutes in the second term. Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio and Sport Digital.
Well, that happened because Fremantle were brave enough to switch the ball inside the corridor. It opens it up. It opens up the defence. They need to then obviously defend you. And again, as I mentioned before, just really good reaction from a smart forward in Witkowski. Goes back, really nice set shot, and puts another one on the board for the Dockers.
So the goals continue here at Perth Stadium. 10 in the first quarter and a goal inside the first 3 minutes of the second term. Perfect bounce from the umpire. Darcy gets over the top of Williams again. Down towards Aish. A little hand pass to Brayshaw. Fremantle about to escape that hand pass. Hunt getting a hand in on it, but it comes back to Fremantle. Ends up with Sarong. Hand pass to centre half forward. Witkowski again. Another one to Aish. Back to Sarong. One more to Darcy. They're eliminating a player one by one, and Darcy doesn't finish. A behind only in the end. Fremantle's lead out to an even goal now. 6-2 plays 5-2. We played nearly 5 minutes in the second term here at Perth Stadium.
Globetrotters, that, wasn't it?
Was exciting to watch as Hearn into the right back pocket to McGovern. As we welcome our listeners joining us from Melbourne up against Sydney to Perth Stadium. The Dockers in front here, 6-2-38 to the Eagles 5-2-32 as the Eagles into attack down the commentary wing. One of their youngsters in Chesser trying to get a hand past the Gaff. He couldn't take it cleanly. Ryan goes bursting in from the side. Gathers, got it to Cripps, hands it back to Waterman. The Gaff again, kicks straight into Chapman. Spill down to Chesser, tackled by Henry. Gaff takes the ball over the boundary line, but the free kick is coming back here. It'll go the way of Henry.
I think he got a hold in the ball there because of Chesser not disposing of it correctly. So good pressure from Henry.
You've just joined us. West Coast led by a point at quarter time. 5 goals each kicked in the opening terms. The Dockers have it across half back. Henry, hand pass almost knocked down by Kelly. Then Sarong's hand pass stolen by Sheed. And Sheed kicking it goal from 45 out, misses to the right-hand side. a minor score. 5-3-33 now to the Dockers, who are 6-2-38, 6-1 in the second term. Clint Wilden with you alongside Dave Lindsay in commentary. Our experts, Sharad Wellingham and Cara Antonio. Bridget Lacey will get to downstairs in just a moment as the Eagles win it again across right half forward. It comes to Gaff, kicks inside forward 50. Waterman goes to ground. It opens up for Chesser, and Chesser misses. Looking for his first goal in AFL footy. Campbell Chesser missing to the left-hand side. Another minor score. Big news downstairs, Bridget Lacey.
Yeah, massive news. Luke Shuey looks like he's out of this game. Elijah Hewitt's taken off his training shirt and he's coming into the game. Luke Shuey came off and looked really upset. I'll try and work out what the injury is.
That is big news. Luke Shuey, skipper of the West Coast Eagles, had an excellent first quarter, playing midfield and half-back, but out of the game already, and Elijah Hewitt, the substitute, will come into the game. Matthew Johnson is the starting sub today for Fremantle. West Coast have been forced backwards here from half-forward all the way to centre-half-back. Barris takes the kick now towards the broadcast side wing for Kelly. Chips it down the line. Chesser stretching, couldn't take the mark. Aish comes across to knock him off the football. Now he falls on top of it, gets a hand pass back to Henry. Next hand pass a bit too hot for Young, who dives across the line with the footy. And the boundary umpire will throw it in 50 metres out from the West Coast goal at right half forward.
Bridget Lacey again downstairs.
Yeah, confirming it's another hamstring for Luke Shuey, so that's really bad news for him.
Awful news for Luke Shuey. So many soft tissue injuries. Darcy wins it down for the Dockers. Umpire spots a holding decision. It'll come the way of Fremantle. It's back towards Brayshaw. He's got it at left half back, and he's going to be 50 again here. Didn't spot exactly what it was for, but we'll bring Brayshaw up to left half forward. Shot of a very dejected Luke Shuey on the Eagles bench. Head in hands. So here's Brayshaw putting it inside forward 50. Barris, front position of the pack, and read it well, and he takes the mark on his chest. He's got it in the right back pocket.
So Tom Barris, the old-fashioned black boots. Kicks it as far as he can. Williams wrestling with Darcy. Darcy makes the spoil. Wilson out the back door with a hand pass to Cox. Lays it off by hand to Chapman. Another one to Brayshaw. Carries it to half forward. Kick not well directed, but it skids past the leading players. Walters trying to milk a free kick. Dragged off the footy. Slaps it to the advantage of Amos. Hand pass to Henry. Tries to dance his way through traffic. He's caught, but just gets a hand pass away. Ace off to Brayshaw. Bumped over by Chesser and loses the footy. Henry still down and hurt. Sheed wins it now for West Coast. Off to Barris, who's clearing kick balls, but Darcy is going to be run down by Allen. Just gets the kick away, but Barris is there again. Saving mark for West Coast. Last line of defence. Some hot footy, but the Eagles' defence holding firm. They trail by 4 points, 9 minutes gone. Quarter number 2 as Barris swings it across the face of goal to McGovern.
McGovern long beyond defensive 50. Hunt couldn't get there. Was able to get a hand on it. Spilled down in the direction of Hughes. Hand pass it back to a Docker in Ryan. Kicks towards the right forward pocket. Walters! Somehow he got rid of Barris. He's gone down onto one knee, but Walters has taken the mark at right full forward for Fremantle.
Well done, Luke Ryan, out on that top of the 50 to create the spoil, then spin his way out of trouble. Another nice deep entry and a nice genuine one-on-one. I'm not too sure what happened there, whether or not he caught one in the chest, did he?
No, he's copped one underneath his chin. I think he might have got an elbow
bleeding
underneath his chin. But yeah, excellent effort from Ryan out on that forward flank. And
head maybe.
Head onto
hit the chin.
Yeah, head right onto the back of Sonny Walters' freshly shaved noggin.
So that's the reason why Barris is a bit worse for wear. He's going to make his way off the ground below our broadcast position. Walters, in the meantime, pauses as Barris comes off the ground. Will need a bit of treatment. Like there's a little bit of claret. Michael Walters already with a couple today. Easily good enough. He'll snap with the left and he kicks the goal. He's got 3. Fremantle push their lead to 10 points. 7-2-44. West Coast 5-4-34. We've gone 11 minutes into this, the second term, here on Grandstand AFL.
I know he must have had a pretty interrupted summer, did he, Michael Walters?
Well, he was flying up until a certain point. I think he tweaked his Achilles, so spent a bit of time in the rehab group, but he's dropped a hell of a lot of weight as well.
Has he?
I was spoken to him, I think 7 kilos, so he's in some pretty good nick.
To think that he was the sub last week and he's kicked 5 goals in...
Kicked 2 last week, didn't he?
5 goals in 2 quarters, or 2.5 quarters.
Impressive.
3 goals already today for Michael Walters, 2 to Jai Amos. And the Dockers have kicked the last 3. Darcy down to O'Meara. Back feed hand pass to Sarong. Kicks long across the body. Amos flies and gets a fingertip to it at centre half forward. Knocking it towards himself was Schultz. Runs out of room though. Cole tries to tread through some heavy congestion. Throws on the boot straight to Sarong. And the Dockers spread in all directions. Sarong spots up Frederick. Virtually directly in front, 45 metres out from goal.
Really nice centre bounce down clearance there, like a training drill almost. Fantastic by Sarong to set up behind the ball as well, and Laurie's eyes had hit Frederick up.
Sean Darcy comes to the bench to a warm round of applause. 25 hit-outs already for Sean Darcy. Not yet midway through the second quarter. Frederick from right on the 50 sends it long, and the goal umpire does not move. 4 in a row for Fremantle. They kick the last of the first and the first 3 of this second quarter. They're out to a game-high 16-point lead. 8-2-50 plays 5-4-34. You're listening to Grandstand AFL. Sherrod Willingham and Cara Antonio, your experts here at Perth Stadium this afternoon.
Yeah, the CB work. I think it was O'Meara just coming off that offensive position into the ruck knock and just straight down his throat. And beautiful clearance. And yeah, like you said, good setup behind the ball from Sarong, because West Coast looked like they were about to chain that out. Pressure around there was enough to make Tom Cole just shove it on the boot. And then, yeah, beautiful kick from Frederick there, because he's kicked it from 51 metres out, and it's like, yeah, it sailed straight over the goal umpire's head. Beautiful set shot.
Ball back in the middle. It's Jackson who wins it down, but only as far as Williams, who picks it up for the Eagles. Got monstered. Free kick going the way of West Coast, though. It'll come back to Williams. Got one in the back against Brayshaw, who stands in the centre circles. Williams for the Eagles. Inside attacking 50. No mark taken. Ball still bobbles around. Hewitt tried to punch it forward. Came out to O'Driscoll. The Dockers, though. Sarong on the ground. Tried to work it out. O'Driscoll picks it up again. Trying to work through traffic. Tackled by Ryan. Umpire will ball it up. Left half forward for West Coast. And a trail on the scoreboard by 16 points. The Dockers 8-2, the Eagles 5-4. 14 gone in this, the second term from the restart. Jackson brings it away up the back to Clark. Now to Brayshaw, hands it on. This is to Frederick. Hand pass for Fremantle to Switkowski. Back to Frederick, who continues his run. Great play from Fremantle. Taberner again to Frederick by hand. He puts boots the ball, and that's where it all falls apart. Kick straight into Duggan, but he couldn't get rid of it. Racing by Taberner. Gathers, and then he's kicked. Is awry again. Inside forward 50. Cole marks in the left back pocket for the West Coast Eagles, and then moves it short to mark on the logo to Jeremy McGovern. Slick play by hand. The 2 kicks weren't great. 16 points the margin, though, in favour of Fremantle. 14 gone in the second.
McGovern very indecisive with his kick. Kicks to a contest. That's a wonderful mark from Williams floating through. Had his hands full in the ruck against Sean Darcy, who's having a rest at the moment, so he's got Jackson for company. Jackson opened the scoring today for Fremantle, his first club goal. The kick from Williams towards half forward. Liam Ryan makes the contest, follows up, knocks it accidentally towards Duggan. Tumbling kick gets the West Coast Eagles inside 50. Cripps does well to spin through a tackle. Another hand pass onto Allen, hooking it across the shoulder, and it just misses. Oscar Allen's been very busy today. 3 goals in the first quarter, but a miss on this occasion. 5-5-35. Fremantle are 8-2-50. The Dockers by 15, midway through the second term.
Clark on a bit of a run. Dumps it beyond defensive 50 for the Dockers. Jackson, there's a mark. Drags it in, plays on by hand. Got on quickly to Brayshaw. Brayshaw moves it towards the commentary wing. This is Hughes. Short to Switkowski. Finds Frederick, who marks. Just inside attacking 50. Henry's all on his own. The kick goes his way and he marks. 45-degree angle to the left. He'll put boot to ball from 35 out.
Well, Jackson's had a number of contests already in this game and hasn't seemed to take that one contested mark, and that was come at a right time that he leaped, took it, quick ball movement again. A Fremantle forwards just catching the West Coast defenders a little bit flat-footed and off guard.
Liam Henry looking for his first major of the season. Starts out to the right. It's going to stay that way and misses right. A minor score, 8-3, 51 to the Eagles, who are 5-5-35. 17 gone in the second. Bridget Lacey's downstairs.
Tom Barras back out there with all the taping around the chin and his head.
It's good news for West Coast, having already lost Luke Shuey, subbed out. A long kick back into play from McGovern and easily spoiled over the line by Brennan Cox. Boundary throw in left half forward. Luke Shuey, another hamstring injury. Terrible news for him. And we'll get a throw in. Pretty much right in front of where Bridget's sitting down there on the boundary. Elijah Hewitt, the sub, is at this contest looking to rove the ruckwork of Jackson. He grabs possession, then drops the footy in the Jackson tackle. Kelly tries to barge his way through. Tackled by a couple of Dockers. No prior opportunity. Another ball up.
So here we see again, Fremantle have got that extra at the stoppage, and you can see Jermaine Jones sitting probably 5 to 8 metres just off the back of it. I feel like he's in a little bit of no man's land there.
O'Meara, the spare, almost taking possession. Through comes Aish. He's wrapped up. Another ball up. All happening in a little phone booth at left half forward for Fremantle. Jackson palms it down. Sheed sharks the tap. Hand pass over the top gives Hewitt a chance. Wants to charge through. Somehow gets a hand pass free. Long with the loose footy. Kicks down the line. Petrevski-Seaton marking low down just short of half forward. Kicks to right half forward now for Cripps. Quiet this week after an outstanding game last weekend. Deep into the pocket with his kick. Just clears the head of Luke Ryan, and diving in low, Oscar Allen can't quite take it. The crowd down in the right forward pocket think that went out of bounds on the full. But the umpire saying it was just touched, and we'll get a throw in. Left forward pocket, City end. Fremantle up by 16 points.
Ball's back into play. Jackson got clear of his opponent. Palmed it down towards O'Meara. Hurried kick beyond defensive 50. Schultz diving forward, couldn't quite mark it. Tried to go again, tackled by Cole. Attempting to scoop it up a second time. Schultz only gets it over the boundary line, and you can tell his frustration as he bounces up. Knew he needed to mark that one for the Dockers. They've kicked the past 4 goals, Fremantle, setting themselves up with what is currently a game-high lead of 16 points. Ball back into play. Waterman won it down. Hughes couldn't take it. Darcy could for Fremantle. Threw it on the boot. Oh, Barras. Crunched by Taberner, coming the other way. They're both okay. Picked up there by Kelly for the Eagles. Back to Barras. Kicks towards right half forward. Darcy front position. Brought it down. Longs there though for the Eagles. Hand passes on to Cripps. Kicks around the body from 38 metres out. He misses. It bounces.
McGovern not well behind play either after that clash with Taberner. Clutching at his glute or hammy.
Hopefully it's just a knock and not a... Oh, it looks like he's grabbing the muscle of his hamstring.
Yeah.
He's making the way off the ground. They're already with Luke Shuey having to be subbed out, the West Coast Eagles, as the Dockers move the ball quickly into the middle of the ground.
Second quarter starting to fall apart for the visiting side. Wilson with a wobbly old torpedo gets Fremantle all the way to full forward. Amos back with the flight. Fantastic judgment in the air from Jai Amos. We've seen him already kick a couple of goals in the first quarter, one from a mark and one from a free kick. He'll get another set shot here from 30 outs.
I'm not sure about the choice of kick from Wilson. The big barrel doesn't really help his forwards, but what a mark. Going back with the flight of the ball for a young kid, not knowing what's ahead of him. Fantastic.
Been impressive today, Jai Amos. And here's this approach. Slow, steady paces, a little stutter step, and then without getting any momentum, he pops it into the left-hand goalpost this time. So behind for Amos. There's been a few misses in the last 10 minutes from both sides. 8-4-52, plays 5-6-36. Fremantle by 16, nearly 21 gone second quarter.
Govan on the bench. We'll get an update from Bridget Lacey in just a moment. Dockers have it again across half forward. Comes to Amos. Hand pass to O'Driscoll. Tackled by Petreski-Seton. That'll be holding the ball. Heard during the week that his nieces are responsible for the peroxide hair. He was back home at Halls Creek in the off-season. Decided to use him for a bit of, I don't know, hairdressing fun. That's the reason why he's got the blonde mop on the top. Petreski-Seton short to Kelly. Moves it short again to Barris. Goes back inside his defensive 50 to Hearn. Hearn goes on a run. Thumps it towards the centre wing, outer side of the ground. Waterman at the back, read it best. On the ground, hands it on to Gaff. Running by Hunt, receives the hand pass and spots Elijah Hewitt inside forward 50. He marks in the left forward pocket. He's got it 30 from goal.
Well, the Fremantle Dockers defenders, they like to play assertive up the ground, and just there again, we've seen it already from both sides. Want to move the ball quickly. Caught the Dockers defender, in that case was Ryan, and
just too far in front, wasn't he? I guess that contest where Waterman was able to hold the mark just really enabled him to get out the back.
Made his debut last week, Elijah Hewitt, another one of the Eagles' young stars. He misses to the left-hand side. Minor score for him. 5-7-37 the Eagles, 8-4-52 the Dockers. 23 minutes gone in the second. Bridget Lacey downstairs.
Carnage on the West Coast bench. McGovern can barely walk. He's just limping his way to the rooms now. The left hamstring he was grabbing at, and Campbell Chester is also very sore with the left knee.
And Luke Shuey already subbed out earlier this quarter, 6-minute mark of the term. So that's why Hewitt's on the field. Fremantle have worked it to the wing, but Waterman's in the way for West Coast. Pops it over the top with a kick to Liam Ryan. He'll measure his pass down the boundary line to Duggan, and then quickly cuts back onto his left boot. Long kick in towards full forward. Big leap from the side from O'Driscoll. Couldn't hang on. Bounces to his feet to receive an underground hand pass from Luke Ryan, and then delivers beautifully towards Amos, marking it half back. Working up the ground this time to get involved, Jai Amos. Long with the left boot. Jackson the target, floating in at half forward. Couldn't take it. Ball hits the deck. Little hand pass comes out from Jinby. Walters in the way, blocking that. Petreski-Seton spins through, takes possession, and runs straight into Jackson, who tackles well. And there'll be a ball up at centre half forward for Fremantle. They lead by 15 points, 3-0 in this quarter. The Eagles have kicked 5 behinds. Darcy wins in the ruck. Long clears it away for West Coast. Towards half forward. Allen does well to slap it further afield. Hewitt had a crack. Through comes Liam Ryan. Pearce first back onto it. Hands it off to Luke Ryan. Had a chance to get the hand pass away. Tackled and then just gets it away a second time. Kelly spins into a tackle. And the umpire says holding the ball. Signal that he put the hand out for a fend off, and Pearce will be the recipient of the free kick. The Freo skipper at centre half back has it. Kicks laterally to left half back, and Luke Ryan to slow things down for the Purple. They lead it by 15. 24 gone second.
Here's Ryan. Bright orange boots. Kicks towards the commentary wing. Amos went up, couldn't mark, knocked it down, spills there to Petreski-Seton. Wobbly kick for the Eagles, back inside their forward 50. Through the hands of the Dockers captain in Pearce. Went back to gather, under pressure from Kelly. Got the hand pass away though to Brennan Cox. Kicks in the middle of the ground. Ginby gathers. Well tackled by Walters. Ball jars free. Umpire says let's play on. Young scoops it up for Fremantle through the middle of the ground. It comes now from Brayshaw to Switkowski. Hand pass for Walters at centre half forward. Hand pass over the top. Here's Darcy. He'll send it towards goal. Can you smell what the ruck is cooking? He gets a chance to barbecue West Coast. And the Fremantle Dockers, they've got their ninth. 9-4-58 to the Eagles, 5-7-37. The Dockers by 21 points. Derby 56 from Perth Stadium.
Well, the assist goes to Walters, but it was also off the back of a great defensive effort. Jinby ground ball could have been running into goal, and huge amount of pressure just put on him. Turned the ball over, and it was a purple wave just from backwards of centre all the way running. Great work for Fremantle.
Well, you mentioned Sonny Walters laid the tackle, but he was also involved with the chain further down the field that handballed
he
it
got
over.
the assist. So
Correct. So
turns it over and then gets all the way forward. And it was, as soon as that turned over, there was just a wave of them, and I even signalled here in the box. I said goal.
It's Eagles on the menu for Sean Darcy here this afternoon. 7 possessions, 27 hit-outs and a goal for the big Fremantle ruckman, who wins in the middle again, searching for Switkowski. Bit of hanging on, and Switkowski will get the free kick. 5 consecutive goals to Fremantle. And the Eagles with injuries all over the place. The delivery from Switkowski finds Darcy at half forward, who spins quickly, kicks towards Amos, can't take it. Roving is Schultz, hurry kick to full forward. O'Meara playing from behind, and Witherden takes a goal-saving mark at the top of his defensive goal square, and stops the bleeding for a moment for West Coast. He'll kick it long and wide towards half-back. Hunts the man in front. Darcy there again. Spoils to the boundary. We'll get a throw in at right half-forward for Fremantle. Their lead out to 21 points as we edge closer to half-time.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see a little bit more of a dynamic change to the Fremantle midfield, because without McGovern setting up behind the ball, I think they're going to try and run it at them a bit quicker.
Ball back into play. Darcy, double-fisted punch forward for the Dockers. Walters out after it. Jones tackles him. Ball jars free. Kelly picked it up for the Eagles. Hand pass to Gav. Now on by hands to Hunt. Kicks down the outer side. Waterman couldn't mark it. Cox tried to gather. Tackled by Ginby. And Ginby gathers again. Will sweep it through Hewitt. Sharing it around. It comes through Cripps. Long kick towards centre half forward. Allen couldn't mark. Spilled down to Henry. Gathers it for the Dockers. To Cox. And he'll look to measure the kick into the left back pocket. He finds Wilson. Thought about going on short here. Instead, now he has to turn around and send it back between fullback and centre half back. And this is Clark. Still the Dockers in control. They're up by 21 points. 28 gone in the second.
O'Driscoll now measures the pass towards Young. Ginby closed that down quickly, but the rebound comes back towards Young. Kicks to half forward. O'Meara flying through the air. Nearly cleaned up. Darcy takes the mark. Hand pass to Switkowski. Jackson, was he taken front on? The recovery to the goal square. Barris desperate. Through comes the support. A diving effort right on the goal line by Cole to rush the behind, and Bridget's down on the boundary with more injuries.
Yeah, Alex Witherden, I think it is, on the outer side in that marking contest with O'Meara, has come off way second best. It looks really sore.
Oh, got the double hit there, hit in the air by O'Meara in the marking contest, and then the shoulder and head hit the ground first on his landing. We'll have a pause in play here with about a minute on the clock before half-time. Fremantle up by 22 points, 9-5-59 to 5-7-37. And there's trainers all around. Alex Witherden down to Bridget again.
Just further on the Eagles' injuries woes, I obviously mentioned that Jeremy McGovern went down to the rooms with what looked like either a left hamstring or glute. From what we can see, he was struggling to walk. As Alex Witherden starts to walk his way off the ground, Luke Shuey followed him down there, probably to console his great mate, two of the leaders of this footy club. And Campbell Chester is back out on the ground, but he's been struggling with a left knee problem that he now has taping on. And we'll now see how Alex Witherden's able to recover from that massive hit.
It was an enormous hit.
It's probably a concussion concern as well with how his head hit the ground.
Absolutely. Yep. He does not look well.
Wobbly legs.
So they could have just 2 on the bench, and they've already made their sub, as we told you. Luke Shuey. I'm sure I've missed one along the way, but I've got that now as a 10th either calf or hamstring injury for Shuey since 2020. He's had no luck at all with that. So Witherden makes his way off the ground. Sheed will come on to replace him as the Eagles look to move it into the right back pocket. Comes from Hearn. It's marked by Cole. And then, wonderful effort. Frederick diving across. That is a smother that is top shelf. Frederick would not give up, and he smothers the attempted Cole kick. And rightly, the Dockers in the near vicinity go to say, well done. Cole took a bit too long Great effort to see the ball over the boundary line from Frederick. It's thrown in again. Here's Darcy trying to be strong. Got a hand pass out through traffic. It's on the deck. Aish hands it off to O'Meara. Breaks one tackle. Hand pass to Frederick. Hand pass to Young. 50 out from goal. He spun out of trouble, then gave it to Chapman. Hands it on to Clark from centre half forward. Puts it into the right forward pocket. Farris is up. Another Eagle who's been in the wars. He's got the strapping around the chin, but he takes the good defensive mark. Still in the bright sunshine in the left back pocket. 31 gone in the second term. Freo's lead is 22. You can guess who's got the footy if you know your Derby history. It's Andrew Gaff marking in the left back pocket.
Last line of defence for Andrew Gaff. Kicks to a contest at half back. 2 Eagles fly. Kelly lands with the footy and he's paid the mark. Bridget Lacey on the boundary.
Alex Witherden's heading down to the rooms, no doubt, to go through the concussion protocols.
Well, if there is any good luck for the Eagles, if he is going through concussion protocols, the 20 minutes of half-time will count as part of that period. But what a quarter from Fremantle. Michael Walters kicked the goal late in the first quarter to bring them back within a point, and then they kicked 4-0 in the second term. And at half-time, they led it by 22 points in Western Derby number 56. It's 9-5-59 Fremantle leading West Coast 5-7-37.
What was a 1-point lead to the Eagles at quarter time, as Dave told you, now a 22-point advantage to Fremantle, desperate to avoid going 0-3 to start this season. That is, by the way, what the Cats are facing, the first premiers in the AFL era to be 0-3. They lost by 19 points to the Gold Coast earlier today, and then Melbourne, the 50-point flogging of Sydney at the MCG, means the Saints are on top, albeit on percentage, but they're on top, and the Cats right now are at the foot of the ladder. Derby 56 to wrap up the round here at Perth Stadium. 9-5-59 to the Eagles 5-7-37. The goal kickers for Fremantle, Walters with 3, 2 to Amos, singles to Darcy, Jackson, Frederick and Switkowski, while for West Coast, who were held goalless in that quarter, Oscar Allen with 3 first quarter majors, Jack Darling with 2. What have you made of it? Our experts on Grandstand AFL on ABC Radio, Sport Digital and on the ABC Listen app today in Derby 56, Cara Antonio and Sharad Wellingham.
Yeah, well, I think really the first kind of 5 minutes, you could tell that Fremantle took control of that. Unfortunately, with Shuey going out, the clearance, clearances went in the way of Fremantle. Brayshaw got working, Sarong, but for me it was Sean Darcy. He had the 4 inside 50s, the 7 disposals, 11 hitouts and 2 clearances to himself. He got to work, and then from Fremantle's point of view, which they didn't have in the first quarter, was that balance in the inner and outer layer at contest. They were able to chain the ball out. They were able to run in numbers. And you mentioned it, Shaz, a couple of times when they created a turnover, there was a wave of purple ready to pounce and ready to rebound and transition really hard. And they were able to capitalise on their hard work and hit the scoreboard, which I think was the difference. Again, devastating for Shuey, but he was instrumental in that first quarter for West Coast. His hardness at the ball, his contest work and his clearance work. And now without that, Eagles are going to struggle to probably get their hands on the footy inside.
Yeah, I think that you're bang on. I think that West Coast's inside and outside and behind the ball structure just went completely by the wayside. Not through lack of effort, but they just absolutely got their wings clipped. So McGovern goes down the pillar there with Tommy Barrass. Barrass is off for probably 8 to 10 minutes of that quarter, getting his chin fixed up, and they just looked vulnerable. And Fremantle just relished it, didn't they? As you said, I've said that they just looked like a wave. Off that turnover, they were just exposed, West Coast, and just goes to show how important that experience of McGovern and of Shuey are. There was obviously question marks during the off-season and late last year of whether Shuey will go around again or whether he'll be the captain, but just emphasises how important he is to that side. Yeah, it's disappointing for West Coast to be beaten up the way they were. Completely fair bump in the contest from Amira, but Witherden just got absolutely hammered. He'll be rattled. He'll be shaken up. And this is one of those question marks. He's obviously going to be shaken up from that. And we spoke about it last week. where's the call come that you can't go back out? If he goes down there and passes a couple of tests and goes back out there and he opens himself up to more contests because you're not quite on the ball, and then there's also the what going forward, how is he going to recover from that? Does the concussion set in tomorrow? It's a brutal sport that they are out there playing, and
it's always a hard line, isn't it? It's a hard line. We've seen it of recent times, a number of players, ex-players coming out and taking lawsuits out on the AFL and etc. And we both know what it's like, Shaz. As a player, we want to go back
You're going,
out there.
let me out there.
Let me out there. I'm fine. I'm fine.
You should have to now sign a
declaration
saying, if I'm going out, I'm being told not to. But are they down there now? If they pass a test, is that all that they have to do to be able to go out there legally from the AFL's point of view?
Yep. If you pass the concussion test, you can go back out.
It's hard at the best of days. You've done it a few times.
No, I didn't put my head over the footy.
No, but you're going to do a baseline. The baseline's
I failed the baseline. I know what you mean. But, I hate the fact... Obviously, I did have a couple of times. I wasn't that soft, I don't think. But you want to go back out there so bad, and you will say and do anything 100%. In that situation. And so I can only imagine Alex down there now saying, no, I'm fine. If I've passed the test. How many goes do you get? I can't remember. Do you get
one?
You get one.
Yep,
one.
One go, and you must pass it.
Yeah, so if he passes, and then what happens in 5 years if he comes out and said, I've had brain
and these are the great variables that we don't know. Because you can't, unlike those other injuries, you can't actually see straight away.
Yeah.
It was a huge bump. He did not look well. We hope he's okay.
It was massive.
Yeah.
The hit from O'Meara was big enough, let alone then him coming down from 180 centimetres in the air. It was head height.
Yeah.
Down, falling on a not rock hard. It's obviously turf, but it's a hard turf. It's a hard turf.
By the way, Luke Shuey, and I'm not meaning to harp on this, but it is an issue for the Eagles captain because you go back from 2020. So July 4, 2020, injured his hamstring against Sydney. September 1, 2020, both hamstrings against Essendon. In the pre-season of 21, had a calf injury, so had to be in the rehab group. In April 2021, did his hamstring tendon against Port Adelaide, needed major surgery, then came back in July, a calf injury against Adelaide, had to miss 3 games. In the pre-season of last year, had to go for scans after a leg injury in the opening seconds, missed a game. Then in May, had another hamstring setback and had to miss a couple of games as well.
He didn't miss too much footy though last year, did he?
No, he missed 3 games due to hamstring injuries. 1 early on and then 2 later in the season.
It's just more the cumulative load of hamstring and calf injuries over the last 3 years.
So it's the as you say, it's the fact that he just seems to have, and finally had a pre-season without an issue of soft tissues, and then we're 3 games in. And the hamstring's obviously gone again on him.
And this is the period from rounds 3 to 5 or 6 is when soft tissues stick their head up because you're obviously going to a high level and the cumulative load adds up over the start of the season. So now is when you're most vulnerable. I think it is round 5 is when you're most vulnerable to a soft tissue from my memory. But for it to happen to him is, I mean, I don't think that's going to be, the thing that stops him playing. But it's just annoying for him. It's a pain in the hamstring.
And it's a massive blow for the Eagles because he was tremendous in that first quarter. He goes off and Fremantle start to get the ascendancy.
Oh, you could tell as soon as, I'm not saying he was the difference, but as soon as he went off, you could tell that Fremantle inside and outside that layer at the contest were much more free-flowing. They weren't pressured enough. They were getting first possession, first hands on it from their ruckmen, both Jackson and Sean Darcy, and it was like the Fremantle of old. And West Coast, unfortunately, didn't have any real answers for Fremantle, their dominance inside. So it is a massive blow, and no doubt, how old is Shuey now? 30?
32, I think.
32, so I know what probably from an elite athlete, you're as tough as anything, but surely mentally the amount of injuries that he's had and consistent hammy and soft tissue injuries.
The mental pressure, I think, comes from if it keeps happening like it has to him. If you have it happen every so often, you're like, oh, it's just a hammy, it's just a calf. But it just becomes a burden, and do you potentially, it didn't happen to me, so I'm not sure, but do you find yourself holding back a bit and you're nervous about the potential of it happening?
I did one soft tissue last year and I've retired. So there you go.
The resilience of you.
Now, this is interesting downstairs. We've got the Prime Minister alongside the Premier of the state, so Anthony Albanese. Last time I saw Anthony Albanese, he was on the Modi Mobile making his way around Ahmedabad with the Indian
speaker.
Well, not so much, but with the Prime Minister of India standing alongside him, about to sing the national anthem, arm in arm with Steve Smith. But he's out here with Gil McLachlan and Richard Goyder. Must be something important going on. All the big guns are here.
Eight security guards.
The security guards. I guess now's like if someone was going to streak and be an idiot, it'd be now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I wonder why they're all here. Normally the AFL only make their way across. This is a cynical thing to say, but I'm prepared to live with it.
No, they even came over for the grand final we managed to hold.
They did, but they're normally only here when they want something.
Yeah.
What are they up to?
Nat Fyfe's out there now amongst
Is Albo going to give WA some money back?
Maybe. Who can say? So the Dockers, the former Dockers captain's there. Anthony Albanese is a rugby league supporters looking at him going, who are you? What are all these people doing and how is this game played? But nonetheless, it is interesting to see the current CEO and the commission chair in...
Was Richard on the board at
Fremantle? For a number of years.
Ages, wasn't he?
Yeah, he went from Fremantle and moved across to
AFL.
The AFL. So, anyway, they're all downstairs. I wonder what's happening. That's how we knew that we were getting that grand final. Remember when they were sitting in the seats, one of the build-up games?
Yep.
Anyway, 9-5-59 the Dockers, the 5-7-37 the West Coast Eagles. And a bit like in Ahmedabad, I'm confident we won't be getting to speak to the Prime Minister today on Grandstand AFL. Bridget Lacey, before we go to the news, has got something for us downstairs. Bridget, what have you got?
Yeah, I can't tell you what's going on in the middle of the ground, but there is one young girl in there who doesn't look much interested in what's being said. I just want to touch on Luke Shuey. When he came to the bench, obviously after he felt the hammy go, he never felt for it at the bench or anything, but he was so distressed, probably as distressed as I've ever seen him, and I've seen him do quite a few of these hammies sitting on the boundary over the past couple of seasons. Confirmation as well that it is a hamstring also for Jeremy McGovern, so two of their older statesmen both doing a hamstring in this game, so really, really bad news for the West Coast Eagles. With the body language from Luke Shuey, probably told the story of mentally what this does to him every time it happens.
Yeah. And from the way Jeremy's walked off, that looked pretty
bad one.
Severe.
Yep.
And he grabbed it
very high, as we've seen before. Might have even come off the bone. We've seen that happen before when you
because he couldn't even straighten it.
Yeah. Fremantle, they'll be pleased, not that they want to see injury to an opposition player, but to know that Shuey and McGovern won't be out there for the second half. They lead 9-5-59 to the Eagles 5-7-37. Bridge, when they make your way past your spot downstairs, just shout out for Gil to come across and have a chat. We know he loves talking to us here in WA. In the meantime, let's pause and take the latest from the ABC Newsroom.
Hello, this is ABC News with David Rowlands. The Victorian opposition says the party's infighting is not to blame for the Aston by-election loss and stressed it was a federal by-election with local issues. It comes after the Federal Nationals leader David Littleproud told Channel 9 the Victorian Liberals trashed their own brand leading up to the Aston by-election. Opposition leader John Pasuto says the loss had nothing to do with his failed attempt to expel MP Maura Deeming for her involvement with an anti-trans rights rally recently.
It's clear to me, based on the comments of candidates and people on the ground, that that simply wasn't an issue. It was cost of living. It was a federal by-election with some local issues in it.
The New South Wales Premier says he doesn't believe that passing legislation will be difficult in a minority government. The newly elected Labor government has fallen short of being able to form a majority, with the Liberal Party winning 2 of the remaining 3 close seats. Chris Minns says negotiating legislation with other parties is not unusual.
Legislation will have to be navigated through those two parliaments, but it's not necessarily difficult or different from what's been in place for the last 2 years, particularly in New South Wales. We're confident we can work with the crossbench.
Residents of New York City have been alerted about the approach of a massive storm that's devastated parts of the south and midwest of the United States. Larry Buttrose has more.
There are varying reports of the death toll from a massive storm that's cut a swathe through southern states, including Alabama, Mississippi and Arkansas. But it's believed to have taken the lives of around 24 people so far, and that could rise as rescuers pick through rubble and debris. Already it's believed to have caused one death in the small northeastern state of Delaware on the Atlantic coast. After Delaware, it's tipped to hit parts of New Jersey, New York, Connecticut and Massachusetts. The storm has also caused power cuts to hundreds of thousands of people on its track from the southern to the northeastern United States.
The first temporary Fitzroy River low-level crossing in Western Australia's far north will be accessible to the public tomorrow from 10 a.m. It comes after flooding in the Kimberley earlier this year caused severe damage to key infrastructure, leaving communities cut off from its supply centres. The 5-metre-wide single-lane causeway spans 200 metres and will initially be accessible to four-wheel drive vehicles only. Work on a second low-level crossing 150 metres upstream of the Fitzroy River Bridge is set to begin soon, with hopes it will be operational in May. A case of invasive meningococcal B has been found in an 11-month-old baby from rural South Australia. SA Health says the infant is in hospital in a stable condition with 4 recent contacts directed to receive antibiotics. It's the third case reported in the state so far this year, and health officials say people should be on alert for symptoms, whether they've received a vaccine or not. Queensland Roads are set to receive $21 million in upgrades to improve dangerous crash sites. It'll be funded by the federal government's Black Spot program, which aims to improve dangerous sections of roads. 38 sites across the state have been identified to undergo improvements, such as roundabouts, traffic signals, and adding or removing turning lanes. Federal member for Blair, Shane Newman, says it's been a deadly 12 months on Queensland's roads.
One death on our roads is one death too many. 282 in the last year is 282 families who've been impacted by death on our roads. I'm calling on people in your local community, if you know of a dangerous intersection, contact your local councillor.
Turning to sport, and Dutch driver Max Verstappen has won the Formula One Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. The Red Bull driver took the checkered flag in a race marred by crashes and multiple red flags. Lewis Hamilton finished second for Mercedes, with Aston Martin's Fernando Alonso in third. Former Australian Rugby League player Sam Bacco is in a critical condition in a Cairns hospital after suffering a heart attack. The 62-year-old played for Canberra and Brisbane between 1983 and 1990. He made history when he became the first Australian forward to score 3 tries in all 3 tests of an Ashes series in 1988. In a statement, his former club, Canberra, say the Bacco family is grateful for the support and prayers received for Sam. Still on the NRL, and the Warriors have earned a controversial yet thrilling 2-point victory over Cronulla at a sodden Shark Park. Former Shark Shaun Johnson kicked a penalty from 35 metres out with 30 seconds remaining to secure victory 32 points to 30 after the Warriors had come from 20-0 down.
Welcome to Sydney, 1983.
It was the hedonistic queer haven.
Come on, people!
That turned dark.
Something is killing gay men.
Are you referring to AIDS?
Where fear was infectious.
Our kids are not safe.
But courage was contagious.
So many of our friends are getting sick.
New ABC drama, inspired by real events.
We have a choice.
In our blood.
The world needs beautiful things right now.
Sunday nights on ABC TV and streaming on ABC iView.
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Down towards Young, just gets the kick away and finds Switkowski. Oh, sneaking in from the side in front of Witherden. That was cleverly done. Here's Switkowski, boots across the 50, kicks on its way. Fremantle back in front. Big news downstairs, Bridget Lacey.
Yeah, massive news. Luke Shuey looks like he's out of this game. Elijah Hewitt's taken off his training shirt and he's coming into the game. Luke Shuey came off and looked really upset. Yeah, confirming it's another hamstring for Luke Shuey, so that's really bad news for him.
We get a hand on it, spill down in the direction of Hughes, hand pass it back to a Docker in Ryan, puts towards the right foot pocket. Walters! Somehow he got rid of Barris. Walters has taken the mark at right full forward for Fremantle. Michael Walters already with a couple today. Easily good enough. He'll snap with the left and he kicks the goal. He's got 3.
And the Dockers spread in all directions. Sarong spots up Frederick, virtually directly in front, 45 metres out from goal. Frederick from right on the 50, sends it long and the goal umpire does not move. 4 in a row for Fremantle.
Carnage on the West Coast bench. McGovern can barely walk. He's just limping his way to the rooms now. The left hamstring he was grabbing at.
Hand pass over the top. Here's Darcy. He'll send it towards goal. Can you smell what the ruck is cooking? He gets a chance to barbecue West Coast.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital.
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
We're underway in the third serve. Bounce of the footy and West Coast get the clearance. It's Jinby who goes long inside attacking 50. Alex Pearce is back there under real pressure from Allen. Got a heavy bump and then tackled to ground. The ball in the left forward pocket for West Coast. Waterman getting up. Needs to be careful. He was appealing.
Very careful.
Appealing that why wasn't there a holding the ball decision. The umpires quite sensibly decide that we'll just ball it up instead. Good tackling in there early. West Coast desperate for an early goal. Darcy won it down. Thumping it beyond defensive 50. The Dockers spilled out in the direction of Schultz. He couldn't gather. Sheed picks it up. Gaff tapped it down to Jinby. Back to Gaff. 50 out from goal. Left half forward. Centering kick. Waterman flew. Couldn't mark. The Dockers can bring it away again. Brayshaw to Sarong. Beyond defensive 50. Here's Taberner. And he marks for Fremantle at right half back. By the way, Gil McLaughlin's here for some leadership conference tomorrow. For those that are interested in that sort of thing, as Taberner kicks down the commentary wing. Jack's at the back of a pack, knocked it down. Jinby tackled immediately by Henry. He's taken to ground on true centre wing. It'll be a ball up. Repeating, if you've just joined us, Fremantle 9-5-59, West Coast 5-7-37 here on Grandstand AFL.
Umpire tosses in the air and Darcy with the fist into the path of Henry, who tried to cut through a couple of Eagles. The second of those in Gaff caught him. Kelly takes advantage, bouncing a hand pass towards Sheed, who turns it over. With a blind kick forward, and Luke Ryan, who had some injury issues of his own earlier today, taking the mark at half-back, kicks all the way back to full-back to Brennan Cox. He'll send it back to Ryan. Just joining us, Luke Shuey. Hamstring injury, subbed out of the game early in the second quarter. Elijah Hewitt into the game, and then since then, Jeremy McGovern with a hamstring of his own. And then Alex Witherden, a massive clash in a marking contest with Jager O'Meara. And Bridget Lacey is on the boundary, who may have some more news on that.
Yeah, just on that, West Coast has started this quarter with just 2 players on the bench. I think Alex Witherden hasn't re-emerged, but the club tells me they're yet to rule him out under those concussion protocols.
Just about be the 20 minutes gone now. Half-time, of course, is 20 minutes, so it should be done by now. But no decision as yet, we hear. Bailey Withers from a boundary throw-in, takes clean possession, kicks it long to full forward. Pearce back with the flight, juggles, can't take the mark. Good tackle by Waterman. Umpire watches closely. We'll get a ball up at the top of the goal square for West Coast. They're attacking the Farmer Freeway end and they trail by 22 points.
Good start in the quarter from Bailey J against the Fremantle Rucks.
Darcy palms it down, only as far as Brayshaw, tackled immediately by Darling. Ball up again. If you want to get in touch, 0437 774 774, the number to text. Darcy palmed it down, getting to it Sarong. Fremantle around the body, flying up in the air. Switkowski tries to punch it forward, picked up though by Hunts. He's at left half forward. And he's tackled the new Eagle and taken to ground. There'll be a ball up at left half forward. Schultz, the opposite 5, doing the defending for the Dockers. The umpire's in the light blue today. As Williams takes it down himself, got it to Gaff, almost tackled. Got a hurried kick forward, bounced away from Young. Clark ran over the top, went back, tried to shovel a hand pass along the ground. Sheed's in there. Got it out, but stolen away by Brayshaw. Unleashes Hughes. Hand pass to Sarong. Tackled by Gaff. Oh, holding the ball, the call.
Wow, that's hot.
That's super hot. I felt sure Saronga got a hand pass away then. The Eagles will play on quickly through Jones. Kicks towards full forward. 2-on-2 battle. No mark taken. Cox looks to tap it towards the boundary line. Did it cleverly. That'll be a ball in. Surely Sarong in the middle of the ground got a hand pass away. That was blink of an eye type decision.
Very quick.
Let's have a look. Here's the replay.
Oh, he threw it.
He's throwing it back to us.
There
That's
we
the
go.
reason why. Good call from the officials. Well done, umpire.
They're never wrong.
Sarong got up with the handball motion back to the umpire, so obviously that's okay. Arms outstretched is not okay. Not dissent, apparently. Ball at half forward now for West Coast. Kelly's tackled by 2 Dockers. We'll get a ball up.
That's worse because you're fibbing as well. You're not asking the question.
You're certainly not agreeing with the decision, are you?
No.
You're just saying, well done, I didn't get a hand pass. I don't think so.
That's right.
Darcy has 2 cracks at this ball up and knocks it into space for Sarong. Almost a through ball, soccer style. Kicks it long towards half forward. Hearn in the opposite direction collects and barges through the oncoming tacklers. Does it nicely. Hand passes to Hunt, who kicks to the wing. Gaff to the boos of the crowd, takes the mark and plays on. Short pass doesn't make it to Williams, so he has to get down low to pick it up on the bounce, hooks it across his body. Allen comes out from the goal square, couple of grabs at the football, leaves it behind. Here's Kelly now, well tackled. How will the umpires see this? We'll get a ball up. Umpire Roseberry with the whistle this time. And it's a ball up 35 out directly in front of goal for West Coast. We're still stuck where we were at half-time. Fremantle by 22 points.
Umpire puts it aloft. Darling flew and then slapped it forward. Ryan couldn't gather first time. Turned around, picked it up. Went back to fullback for the Dockers to Pearce. And the captain has done well. And so too Switkowski, who marks Pearce's kick at right half-back. 50 out from his defensive goal. Right up against the boundary line. He'll turn. Ooh, ugly looking kick. It's a dangerous one across the face of his defensive goal. Ryan was clever. Tapped it in the direction of Cox. Got it away from Waterman. Goes back by hand to Ryan, who turns it over. That's a shocker. Down the throat of the other Ryan for the Eagles. And Liam Ryan finds Oscar Allen, who marks hard up against the boundary at right full forward.
Just a lack of movement ahead of the footy for Fremantle. Nothing to really kick to, but some poor skill execution there from a number of Fremantle players. Unlike Switkowski and even Ryan, good chop off and fantastic mark from Oscar Allen. He was good early in the first quarter, got held up in that second. See if he can, very tight angle.
Ryan to Ryan. Now Oscar Allen looking for his 4th goal, and indeed the Eagles' first since the opening term. He'll snap around the body. He's going to miss. And it just sneaks through for a minor score. Pushing it across the face of goal. 5-8-38 West Coast. 9-5-59 the Fremantle Dockers. Nearly 7 minutes gone in the third. Repeating, Luke Shuey subbed out with a hamstring injury. Jeremy McGovern is out with a hamstring injury. And Alex Witherden off the ground with concussion. Almost a terrific mark by Alex Pearce from the kick-in from Young. Couldn't quite mark it over the boundary line for a throw-in. Bridget Lacey again downstairs.
Yeah, they're lacking players on the bench, but Adam Simpson's decided to join his players down here to provide a bit of moral support.
Just having a chat with the runner Chris Marston at the moment. At the boundary throw-in, it's Jackson and Williams who go at it. Williams palms it down for Hewitt, the substitute, who turns it over with his kick. Hayden Young with the intercept mark on defensive 50. Looks centrally towards Chapman, that's ignored. Kicks longer down the line, and Kelly back with the flight. Almost pinched the mark in front of Aish. The Eagles win it away. Chip pass from Jones, has Cripps stretching, and in comes Clark. After Cripps didn't take it cleanly in the first grab, Clark knocks it away for a boundary throw-in. Just short of left half forward again for West Coast. Slow start to the third quarter. Nearly 8 minutes of football. Just the one behind scored by the Eagles. Both teams kicked 5 goals each in a very bright first quarter here at Perth Stadium today. Another boundary throw-in. Williams had 2 taps at this footy himself. Jimby couldn't handle it. Kelly did, but then lost it in a tackle. Brayshaw sharks the footy and then kicks up the line. Looking for Darcy. Barris made the spoil, and then Hearn got the ball on the wrong side of the boot and put it deep into the crowd. Out of bounds on the full. There's 3 Dockers queuing up for this free kick. It'll be O'Driscoll or Brayshaw. Brayshaw actually goes off and lets O'Meara come on, but O'Driscoll will take the kick between the Fremantle interchange gates. The Dockers by 21 points.
O'Driscoll Puts it into the right forward pocket. Darcy bounced off Hearn's head and then spilled down to Hunt for the Eagles. To Barris. He's got rid of the bandage, Barris. By hand to Gaff. Chance to move it forward again. Hewitt kicks West Coast towards centre wing. Cox couldn't mark. At the back, taken by Darling. Releases Liam Ryan. He takes a bounce. He's still going. Second bounce. Hand pass over the top. Now he's Sheed. He snaps. He goes. Oh, that was quick. They moved that with precision. They moved that with aplomb, West Coast. And Sheed finally gives West Coast a much-needed goal. Ends a run of 5 unanswered from Fremantle. It's their first major West Coast since the 24-minute mark of the opening quarter. 9-5-59 Fremantle, 6-8-44 West Coast. Freo's lead cut to 15 points at the 10-minute mark of the third.
It was rather fortuitous. I mean, it was a contest won from Darling, but it was off the back of him hanging on the back of the contest and kind of gambling that it was going to get off the back. I'm not going to say that he bodied him under well, but then Ryan's run and carry was lightning fast. Great to see him have an impact after a couple of drop marks earlier in the game. Could have knocked his confidence about.
Back in the middle, and it's Darcy winning it down again. Gets it to O'Meara. Hand pass away to Sarong. High towards full forward. Barris up in front. Can't mark. Gets a hand pass back from Cole, and then Barris dragged down as he kicked. Hughes intercepts just short of half forward. Hand pass off to Sarong. Drills it in low. And diving at the footy is Schultz. Takes a very good catch just above the turf. He'll have to have a shot from right on the 50.
Good by Sonny Walters there just to grab a bit of the jumper of Barris to affect his kick, and then quick turnover. Sarong's been busy today. It's up to the 20 disposals and just a nice, low, hard penetrating kick there.
I love his ability to be able to just prop and kick a penetrating kick off balance.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, not even without a step, just off balance.
First shot at goal today for Lockie Schultz. 3 goals for the season so far. This one just sneaking in the right-hand upright. Although, hang on, the goal umpire wants to have a chat with the field umpire. He's got his hand on his hip, touching the little button under his shirt to have a chat. Umpire Rosebery comes in. The soft signal is a behind. Goal umpire thinks it might have just snicked the inside of the goalpost. So we'll look at the review.
Snicko.
Well, but now it's got to be
definitive,
not a behind.
Goal, yes. So they'll probably have to go to the
Snicko. Snicko, yeah. Here we go.
They call it edge, I think, with the AFL. It looks like a flat line on what we're looking at. This one might be changed to a goal. Certainly, players appear to be setting up more in position for a centre bounce than a kick-up. No spike on edge, says the ground announcer. And that is a goal. So Schultz gets his first of the day, and Fremantle reply to the Dom Sheed goal. We'll get confirmation of that on the scoreboard now. Just a polite cheer from the Dockers fans with the 2 fingers from the goal umpire signalling full points. 10-5-65. Fremantle lead West Coast 6-8-44. You're listening to Grandstand AFL at Perth Stadium. Cara Antonio and Sherrod Willingham are your experts.
I suppose that's why we've got the arc for decisions like that. We all make mistakes, but fantastic to see Schultz get involved. He's been quiet today. He hasn't needed to, I suppose, have his major and consistent influence that he is used to and that we're used to. So it's nice to see him hit the scoreboard after a bit of pressure from Sonny Walters.
I was thrilled that was a goal. I'd already marked it in the book.
Oh, you don't want to cross it out.
Hate crossing the book out. Fremantle, as Dave said, they respond immediately to West Coast goal. Jackson in the middle wins it down for the Dockers. Though emerging with it is Kelly. Hand pass scooped up by Waterman. Taken high by Jackson. No. Okay, according to the officials. Match review officers released his findings from the game so far. We'll bring you up to date with those in just a moment. Jackson won it down. It was straight to O'Meara. Jimby tackled him, and that's holding the ball. Not enough effort to get rid of it. Here is Ruben Jinby. Mop of blonde curls, goes on a run, then kicks deep, high, inside forward 50. Brendan Cox with the fist. She tapped it down, it came to Kelly. Hands it off to Jermaine Jones. West Coast in the left forward pocket. Long to Allen. Hand pass was meant to go back to Long, but Umpires spotted a free kick for a push. It's coming back the way of the West Coast Eagles, and it's the young Eagle in Long who got a little push in the back. And he'll get the free kick in the left forward pocket and put Boots a ball from about 35 metres out.
I have to look at this replay because I was watching where the ball had ended up.
And me.
Me too.
Certainly what the indication was from the umpire, that there was a shove.
Yeah, it was as he had exited through, because it was the 1-2. It looked like Clark was onto him and just tried to push him out.
Noah Long looking to put his name on the goal kickers list. Not with that, he won't. It's out to the right-hand side. It's out of bounds on the full. No change to that score. Dockers 10-5-65. The Eagles are 6-8-44 as Clark and Allen get involved in a little bit of push and shove.
I think Clark may have just had a couple of words to young Long.
Tim Kelly, 22 possessions, leads all players on the ground. Caleb Sarong with 20 touches, the leader for Fremantle. As West Coast win the ball back at half forward, it's Cole tumbling it inside 50. Darling almost pinched that one opposed to Pearce. Ball hits the deck. Pearce pushed off his kick. Charging through, Chapman was tackled and lost the football. It's desperate from all players in there. We might get a ball up 20 metres out from goal, right forward pocket, and still Clark getting up, shoving players out the way. And there's an Eagle down holding his ankle. That's Jamie Cripps. Just about where this ball's about to be thrown in the air. Looks a bit ginger as he gets himself to his feet. Jackson opposed to Darling. Jackson rams it straight down the throat of Brayshaw. Off a step. High ball outside 50. Petrevski's seating back with the flight. Has taken a wonderful mark. Under a lot of physical pressure. Did a great job hanging on to that. He's about to move it on, but the umpire wants to stop play because Cripps is very sore now, and he's got a trainer under both arms, or just the one at the moment. A second trainer comes in to support. And he's right in the area where this kick's about to go. Bridget Lacey's been very busy on the boundary.
Yeah, just as Jamie Cripps limps his way to the bench, you wouldn't believe it, but Alex Witherden has been officially ruled out, and he's sitting on the bench in his trainers and shirt. So potentially down to one on the bench.
Just one. Goodness me. Costly for West Coast. Here's Petreski-Seaton. Thumping kick towards right full forward. Jackson flew, couldn't mark. Darling tried to take it away. Spilled down to Hewitt. It's held to him. Ball up will be the call. Still Cripps, who looks in genuine strife. He's helped off the ground. The left ankle's the problem for the restart. Tap down, came towards Long. He threw ball on the boot up into the air. It'll float through for a minor score. Behind to the right-hand side. The tap was one down by Jackson, but the ball gathered by Long. 10-5-65 the Dockers, 6-9-45 the Eagles, 16 gone in the third. Grandstand AFL and ABC Radio, Sport Digital and the ABC Listen app.
Just watching the replay on Cripps, his ankle got trapped underneath Pearce in a tackle. It's the one we've seen several times before that ends up in a syndesmosis injury, so let's cross our fingers for Jamie Cripps. Played a wonderful game of footy last week. He's been quiet so far today. You doubt whether he will take any further part. They'll certainly have a look at him now. Ball in dispute on the wing. Sarong cuts through the traffic. Hand pass to Switkowski. Another one further afield. Schultz. Another forward hand pass to Taberner. Good vision from Taberner. Execution not so good. He's kicked it too far for Amos. Has to search for the footy. Hands it off to O'Driscoll. He's in his pocket in the left forward pocket. But he lets himself down with a miss to the left. Smart movement of the football from Fremantle, but a minor score only. 21 points is their lead.
Too far away from the boundary for O'Driscoll.
Too easy, wasn't it?
Too easy for him.
Got to be next to the fence, Noddy. And here's Jones. Kick in. 3 Dockers against 1 Eagle in Allen. And Allen almost took the mark. Ball jars out again. Jimby is out after it. Trying to gather as Duggan. Pressure came from Schultz. He steps over the line. He's disguised it well enough for a throw-in. Fremantle just have to run and run now with West Coast with one fit player on the bench. McGovern, Shuey, Witherden, Cripps, all out of action for the West Coast Eagles. Spun back in again. Williams for the Eagles won it down. Jimby tried to get a hand pass away. Scooped up by Sarong. Clever. Threw it on the boot. Bounces it into the right forward pocket. It'll run across the line. 35 out from Freo's attacking goal. They're heading to the right of our broadcast position. The city end of Perth Stadium in this term. 10-6-66 to 6-9-45. 3 players have been offered 1 match bans from yesterday's game. As it's thrown in again, Williams got his hands to it, tapped it down. She rode the tackle and hand passed out, but only as far as Schultz up against Kelly. Schultz, has he kept it in? He hasn't. So Griffin Logue has been offered a one-match ban for rough conduct on Will Day. Blake Akers of Carlton, a one-match ban for rough conduct on Brent Daniels. And Luke Pedler of Adelaide offered a one-match ban for rough conduct on Daniel Houston of Port. There's a few other fines. We'll tell you them at three-quarter time. But they're the players facing suspensions. From the restart, ball comes down to Long. Tackled immediately by Sarong. It's not coming out of there. Ball up once more. Williams palms it down for West Coast to Gaff, and he's tackled. Still inside Fremantle's forward 50. Ball up the call again. 10-6-66 the Dockers. 6-9-45 the Eagles. 19 gone in the third.
Switkowski swooping on the loose footy. Pops a hand pass up for Schultz. He's well tackled by Ginby. Umpire will have to do it all over again, about 20 metres out from goal. Fremantle trying to get creative at these stoppages. Got Jackson in the ruck opposed to Williams. Williams uses the body well, wins the tap. Duggan runs straight into Brayshaw. And we'll get yet another stoppage. Some good tackling from both sides. Both teams with players running hard at the footy, trying to draw a free kick. Here's Walters. He's one of the best at getting a free kick in that position. Not forthcoming this time, and Kelly hoists it high. Clears the area. It comes off hand straight to Young. 60 out from goal. Sets it up to the centre corridor. Amos in a wrestle. Had a couple of bites. Couldn't quite finish it off. The crowd want a free kick. They won't get that. It'll be a ball up 40 metres out again from the Fremantle goal at the city end. 10-6. Plays 6-9. Fremantle by 21 points.
Correct call there. Not enough control.
Jackson against Williams. Williams probably with the more telling tap. Out to Kelly for the Eagles. Chesser got tackled. Ball jarred free. Still it's in dispute. Ginby strong. Gathered it. Threw it on the boot. Almost anywhere would do. Will bounce in play. Left half back for the Eagles. Henry got there first. Gaff. Strong tackle. Ball spilled out. Holding the ball the call. Those in purple won't like that. He remains public enemy number one some 5 years on from the incident with Andrew Brayshaw, where he copped rightly too 8 weeks. Came to Ginby, back to Gaff. Kicks down the commentary wing. Young stood in front of the encroaching Allen. Took the mark for the Dockers. Kicks back towards the attacking edge of the centre square. Off hands down to Schultz. Releases Jackson. Runs to 49 out. Open goal square. The ball bounces left. The ball goes out of bounds at left full forward. Bridget Lacey is downstairs.
Jamie Cripps has limped down to the rooms with that left ankle problem. Matt Johnson warming up for Freo, waiting for his chance to come on as the sub.
Luke Jackson, 1 goal, 8 possessions, 13 hitouts and 6 tackles today. Thrown alongside the left-hand behind post. He wins this tap into the path of Walters. Tight angle, left foot snap. Just misses to the left. Walters was getting into his celebration there.
He went early.
He did. 22 points the lead to Fremantle. Let's check in with Bridget once more.
Yeah, Matt Johnson is going to get his chance. Heath Chapman has a lower leg problem. He's got ice on it, and he's out of the game. Matt Johnson in.
Really keen to see this young man. Huge cheer as he just goes for a little trundle along the boundary line.
Subi boy as well.
In the right back pocket, he is indeed. The Eagles move it through Petreski-Seaton towards the outer side, and Wilson off his hands and over for a boundary throw-in, taking it 21 in the 21 national drafts. So our listeners outside of WA has been, and I think fairly in expectation, regarded as David Mundy 2.0, who also started his WA football career at Subiaco, for what it's worth. In the restart, Ginby got a hand pass over his left shoulder, only as far as Wilson. Didn't take it cleanly. Ball's there for Sarong to pick up. Hand pass straight to Williams. Broke one tackle of Jackson. Kicked into the middle of the ground. It's there to be won by Clark. Tried to get it against Young. Tapped it down, but Young read it well. Went back to gather. Outer edge of the centre circles. Gave it to Waterman. Wheels around for West Coast. Sends it into the right forward pocket. Flying was Pearce. Couldn't mark for the Dockers. Picked up off the deck by Kelly. Threw it on the boot for the Eagles, and he'll miss to the right-hand side. Minor score. 6-10-46 the Eagles. 10-7-67 the Dockers. We've travelled 23 minutes in the third term. Fremantle's lead now 21 points.
Just a goal either way in the third quarter as Young runs out of the goal square. Kicks long, hoping for Amos. Swatted away from him by Hunt. Little toe poke from Brayshaw gains some ground. Amos comes through. Hand pass backwards to Schultz. Delivers nicely out in front of O'Meara, hitting up from half forward. He swings a hand pass over the top to the speedster Frederick. Shows the footy to Hunt. Breaks onto his right boot. Sends it very wide for Taberner. Barris knocks it away from him just inside the boundary line. And we'll get a throw in the right forward pocket yet again at the City end. The Eagles just one goal since the 24-minute mark of the first quarter. And that goal off the boot of Dom Sheed earlier this term. Fremantle, the 6 of the last 7 goals of the game from the boundary throw, and it goes back towards the line. Schultz hooks it back to the top of the goal square. Might have just run over the line before getting that kick away. And the boundary umpire will do it all over again. Fremantle 10-7-67, West Coast 6-10-46. Both substitutions now in action.
So the ball put back into play. Darcy punches it forward in the ruck battle, straight back over the boundary line, with Sarong no chance of wheeling it in. Ball in again. The ring of lights around the roof of Perth Stadium starting to take effect. 90% of the ground now in shadow. Lovely afternoon for it, about 27 degrees. It's thrown in again. Williams got it down to Duggan for the Eagles, to Kelly. Clearing kick beyond defensive 50, but only as far as the chest of Jordan Clark for the Dockers. And he'll go back to Wilson, marking a little bit shy of the attacking edge of the centre square. Putting into the left forward pocket, and out there is O'Driscoll. Marking on a 45-degree angle to the left of centre. He'll put boots a ball from just inside 50.
They'll just set up really well. Fremantle behind the ball. They're a well-oiled unit with Pearce back there directing traffic, and I don't know how he'll go as a set shotter. He's usually quite good on the run, O'Driscoll, so we'll see how he goes.
Here he comes, Nathan O'Driscoll. First game of the season. Will it be his first goal of the season? It won't be. It's across the face. He misses to the right-hand side. 10-8-68, the Dockers. 6-10-46, the Eagles. Bridget Lacey downstairs.
That big cheer you just heard go up as he kicked the ball was Matt Johnson running onto the ground for his first game of AFL footy.
His dad, Brett, was a very talented cricketer through the Waka Premier competition, or district competition as it was back in the day that he played. Grew up over my back fence. Used to be very good to throw all the balls back that my son would kick over or hit over. So I hope Matthew goes very well today. A long kick up the line towards the wing. Massive leap from Ryan. Well, he's come down sore as well. Of course, it's Liam Ryan rather than Luke when it's a leap like that, and he hasn't moved on the wing. Cutting through the middle is Aisha. Long kick towards full forward. Petrevsky-Seaton takes the mark. Was there some interference before that? Barris and O'Meara tangled, but the mark taken by Petrevsky-Seaton, and all eyes go back to Liam Ryan, who still is lying on his back on the southern side wing after another spectacular attempt to take the mark. The Eagles have chipped it around the defensive 50, and they've got it now with Hewitt just short of half back. A high kick to the wing, broadcast side. Pearce opposed to Kelly. Pearce fists the ball to ground. Ball just skips past Johnson, who applies a tackle on Long. Through comes Petrevsky-Seaton, almost hands it away to Jinby. Off to Gaff, back to Long by hand. Another defensive hand pass to Petrevsky-Seaton. Has the dancing feet in action and then chips up the line to Jones. Still no movement from Ryan on the wing. He's just starting to get himself to his feet now, being assisted by 3 medical staff. As Jermaine Jones has the footy beneath our broadcast position. Kicks to half forward. Williams flies. Darcy spoils. Hewitt bumps into his teammate and then floats a hand pass over the top. Cox has knocked it over the line. A boundary thrown 50 out from goal. And all eyes return to the replay screen, who we see Ryan leap into the air, had his legs taken out from underneath him as he tried to sit on the shoulders of Williams and virtually landed on his shoulder and his head.
It reminded me of that Luke Ball. I think he might have hurt some hamstring or glute muscle, because that left leg, if anyone remembers that Luke Ball incident where he just...
The Dockers go straight up the middle, though Wilson's turned it over. I know the incident you mean. It's definitely a problem with either the left glute or the left hamstring. He was clutching it while he was down on the ground as West Coast win the ball across half back and go short through the middle to find Jones. They're still trying to get...
Surely they stop the game.
Yeah, they should
Common
now.
sense.
Like, Liam Ryan's gone no more than 10 metres behind where the ball was, but the umpires play on again. Now it's out of the danger area as the kick is deep inside forward 50. Kelly flew, couldn't mark. Hughes tried to get a hand pass away, found Darcy, his hand pass intercepted. Here's Hewitt again for the Eagles, goes back and finds Allen, then on in turn to Hunt, now to Cole, spun away from trouble. Hunt ran straight into trouble, drew 2 to him, got a hand pass out though to Cole. Has to go back towards Hearn, and Hearn will move it short to Hunt. Hunt can run inside forward 50 for the Eagles. Can he get a kick away? He can in time. Oh, wonderful goal! From deep in the right forward pocket, he was under genuine pressure to get a kick away, and he was somehow able to manufacture a sensational goal. Well done to Jaden Hunt.
That was exceptional. However, I'm not sure he was having a shot on goal. I think he may have been trying to put it to the top of the square, but he ran a long way as well. He loves tucking the ball under the wing and taking off, but
10-8-68 the Dockers, 7-10-52 the Eagles, 29 gone in the third. The luck West Coast are having, they deserve something.
Oh, absolutely. This is all
Exactly.
heart. This is all heart. They've got no numbers on the benches at this point in time. This is gut-running, heart-fought stuff, and it's what clubs build their culture around. So kudos to the West Coast Eagles. They're hanging in there.
Their bench is like a mash unit at the moment. There is not a single player on the bench for West Coast. Shuey the first to go. He's been subbed out. Witherden has concussion. McGovern with a hamstring. Cripps with an ankle. Ryan, we understand, with a hamstring as well.
Out of the middle, the Eagles go again. Ginby with the kick out of the middle, but it's Wilson flying in the air, going double-fisted when he could have taken the mark. Aish dispossessed by Kelly. Ball in dispute at centre-half forward for West Coast. The pack arrives. The umpire's going to ping a Dockers player with the footy here. I think it's Aish. It's going to be holding the ball, and the man who's on the bottom of the pack with the ball in his hands actually gets the free kick. Petrevsky-Seaton off to Hunt running by. 53 out. This kick sprays away to the right. Waterman juggling, takes it. Fantastic grab from Waterman. And again, the willingness to move that ball quickly for the Eagles ends up in a shot for goal. Deep in the right forward pocket, Waterman from about 20 metres out.
Exactly right. They're just willing themselves, staying in the contest, staying focused, not worrying about the uncontrollables. It's really good from a very depleted side, and a great contest there from Waterman. His ability to just back onto Ryan and own that space in front of him. Didn't take it clean, but ended up taking it on the second or third.
Shaping up with the right foot banana. He bends it back for a goal. 4 goals last week for Waterman, just the 7 disposals today, but he's kicked his first. And hard to believe, but the Eagles are right in this contest as we edge towards three-quarter time. Fremantle 10-8-68, West Coast 8-10-58, and the Eagles have kicked 3 of the 4 goals that have been kicked in the third quarter.
It was a clearance by Ginby as well that got the ball going and get inside the West Coast forward half. Good to see him in there having a crack, getting led by the others around him in Kelly and Sheeta. Then you got Bailey J, who's just continuing to rock up. I know Darcy's playing an amazing game, but Bailey J, I think
he's been good this quarter. Really good.
He obviously was sitting out those stoppages when the West Coast went inside their forward 50 for a little while, but his ability through the forward half when he's being matched up against Sean, who's an all-star ruckman, is really, really good.
West Coast still haven't put a line through Cripps or Ryan, but the body language on the bench isn't great, as Darcy will bring the ball away and give it to Aish for the Dockers from the restart. Kicks inside their forward 50. Cole's back for West Coast. Hand pass to Petrevsky-Seaton. Kicks in the direction of Kelly. Marks well. Just shy of the southern wing. Running by Chesser. One of the youngsters receives the hand pass. Kicks towards a 2-on-2 at right half forward. Allen brings it to ground. Waterman at the back. Hand pass back to Allen. Hand pass on again. Here's Hewitt. No! He misses. It was all there for him from 25 out on an angle to the right. Couldn't convert. It would have been his first goal in league footy, the 18-year-old. 10-8-68 the Dockers, 8-11-59 West Coast, 33 gone in the third.
Young brings it back in with a short pass to Luke Ryan. Liam Ryan on the bench being assessed after a spectacular marking attempt that ended up injuring the small forward for the Eagles. A long kick down the line for Fremantle. Henry at the front of the pack. Tries to Rovo. Mira picks up the loose football, tackled by 2 Eagles. Will get a ball up. Bridget Lacey down the boundary.
Liam Ryan just jogging up and down now. It looks like he's thinking about it. Hopefully he can come back on.
A little smile or a grimace to the people in the front row of the crowd there as he went past as well. The Eagles get a clearing kick from the ball up. Pearce takes clean possession. He's well tackled. Umpire decides to spare him on this occasion. Another ball up just inside the 50 for West Coast. They're putting all the pressure on at the moment. We were desperately hoping for a close derby, and we've got one, despite the fact the Eagles may have no fit players on the bench. And we'll see a free kick picked out in the ruck contest. Darcy hanging on to Darling, and quickly players come in to let him know that the siren is not far away. And even though the man on the mark stands 49 out and Darling will begin his approach from outside the boundary, it's worth taking a shot. So there you have it. The end of the third quarter after the Jack Darling kick. He kicked the first 2 goals that the Eagles registered today. The first one coming inside the first minute of the game.
Wouldn't this make things spicy?
Starts his run up against the fence from 53 out. The kick is on target. It's a long kick. It's got the carry right on the line. It's touched. Desperate effort on the goal line from the Fremantle defence. 2 or 3 players flying. And in the end, I think Ethan Hughes got his finger to it. So it's an 8-point lead to Fremantle at three-quarter time. The derby on the line here in Western Derby 56. Fremantle 10-8-68. West Coast 8-12-60.
The trajectory of that ball reminded me exactly of the Ballantyne kick. It was just straight at that right-hand goalpost and about to veer in. Beautiful kick, but just not quite there. But we are geared up for a massive one.
About time the derby provided a close finish. The question for West Coast, though, is will they have a fit player on the bench? From where we sit, we saw Liam Ryan, while that was all going on, run up and down the boundary line. He's anything but moving smoothly. It is the slowest of limps to the huddle. Jamie Cripps hasn't been ruled out yet, but he hasn't been back out there for about 17 minutes, and there's no McGovern, there's no Witherden, there's no Shuey. Right now, not a fit player on West Coast bench, and they trail by 8 points. The goal kickers for Fremantle, 3 to Walters, 2 to Amos, singles to Darcy, to Schultz, to Jackson, to Frederick and to Switkowski. While for West Coast, 3 to Oscar Allen, 2 to Jack Darling, and singles to Dom Sheed and Jake Waterman. The Dockers in Derby 56 lead by 8 points at three-quarter time. Wherever you're listening on ABC Radio, Sport Digital, and on the ABC Listen app. This is Grandstand AFL.
We are one, but we are many, and from all the lands on earth we come. We share a dream and sing with one voice.
You're listening to ABC Radio.
You are, we are Australian. We are
Grandstand AFL.
Now streaming every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
At the back, taken by Darling, releases Liam Ryan. He takes a bounce. He's still going. Second bounce. Hand pass over the top. Now he's Sheed. He snaps. He goes. Oh, that was quick.
Hand pass off to Sarong. Drills it in low. And diving at the footy is Schultz. Takes a very good catch just above the turf. We'll have to have a shot from right on the 50. First shot at goal today for Lachie Schultz. 3 goals for the season so far. This one just sneaking in the right-hand upright.
Yeah, just as Jamie Cripps limps his way to the bench, you wouldn't believe it, but Alex Witherden has been officially ruled out and he's sitting on the bench in his trainers and shirt. Yeah, Matt Johnson is going to get his chance. Heath Chapman has a lower leg problem. He's got ice on it and he's out of the game. Matt Johnson in.
To go back towards Hearn, and Hearn will move it short to Hunt. Hunt can run inside forward 50 for the Eagles. Can he get a kick away? He can in time. Oh, wonderful goal! From deep in the right forward pocket, he was under genuine pressure to get a kick away. And he was somehow able to manufacture a sensational goal. Well done to Jaden Hunt.
Petrevsky-Seaton off to Hunt running by. 53 out. This kick sprays away to the right. Waterman. Shankly takes it. Fantastic grab from Waterman. Shaping up with the right foot banana. He bends it back for a goal.
The 2023 AFL season.
On radio,
ABC Sport Digital,
and now streaming on the ABC Listen app.
Bridget Lacey's got some more news for us here. Derby 56, the Dockers lead 10-8-68. So the West Coast Eagles 8-13-61. I don't think it's a surprise, but Bridge, it's official.
It is official, Clint. Jamie Cripps now also ruled out with that left ankle problem. He went off during that quarter pretty early on and never came back out of the room. So that's Jeremy McGovern, Luke Shuey, Jamie Cripps, Alex Woodland all officially ruled out, and Liam Ryan in all sorts of bother. He's out there at the huddle, so we'll be able to see if he'll be able to have any part in this final term.
They're going to have one player on the bench, not one fit player, but one player on the bench. Just repeating what else has been happening today. Gold Coast made sure that for the moment Geelong is on the foot of the ladder. The Suns having their first win of the year. The Cats are 0-3, a 19-point win. To the Suns, Melbourne belted Sydney by 50. And for those of you who like this sort of thing, the Rugby League, little update for you. The Warriors, as you heard earlier, winners over the Cronulla Sharks by 2 points. And we're in the second half, the latest I have for you, between the Canterbury Bulldogs and North Queensland. And the Cowboys lead that one by 2 points. You can always go and listen on the ABC Listen app to the NRL button if you so desire. Sharad Wellingham, Cara Antonio, give us your thoughts.
Oh, I've well and truly got my West Coast hat on. You've probably got your Freo hat on, but I just want to see West Coast continue to take the game on. We can see Liam Ryan jogging around. Hopefully he can contribute, get back out there, because they're going to need him, I think. But yeah, I want to see them continue to take it on, not try and stay in the game. I want to see them try and win it. I saw Adam Simpson get them in and try and really rev them up then, and this will be an emotionally charged game if they can manage to get over the line. But in saying that, Fremantle, I think, will just be too strong and have too much composure, and will probably be a bit strong.
Any numbers stand out for you, Dave?
The Eagles, that third quarter, dominating the possessions. They lead it by 40 now, 293 to 253. I'll give you some of the leaders shortly.
Darcy wins the tap for the Dockers, straight down the heart, tackled by Switkowski, got a hand pass out. Chesser wrapped up immediately on the outer edge of the centre circles.
Inside 50s, Fremantle +1. The tackles, they lead by 7. The hit-outs are 58 to 15 in Fremantle's favour.
Free kick going West Coast way. They need a bit to go their way, the Eagles. Trailing by 8 points. Plenty of injury problems. Williams gets it, taken high. Sends it deep inside forward 50. No mark taken. Ryan is there for the Dockers. Luke Ryan throws it on the boot. 1-on-1 at left half back. Petreski-Seaton won it down for the Eagles to Gap. Hand passed along. Back to Petreski-Seaton. Now to Hearn. Premiership captain for West Coast. Kicks towards full forward. 2-on-2 battle. Darling! Not often Luke Ryan gets out-pointed like that, but Darling with the hands at full stretch, able to hang on to the yellow Sherry, and he drags it down in the right forward pocket. He'll kick from 35 out, but it is a tight angle to the right.
It was just good turn up by Gaff to help out Petreski-Seaton. Great strong mark, genuine one-on-one to Darling.
Usually a good set shot, Jack Darling. He's on his way in. He's got his third. It's a 2-point ball game in Derby 56. The Eagles get the first of the final term. Freo still with the lead. 90 seconds into the last. 10-8-68 Freo. The Eagles now 9-12-66.
I think that West Coast mentality is going to be just get it in as deep as possible, play the game inside the 15 metres out. Rely on the contest of Waterman, Darling and Allen, and then just hustle and work and try and grind it out. Fremantle have got to do something here at the centre bounce.
Caleb Sarong, 25 possessions. Brayshaw, 20. Aish, 18 for Fremantle, while Tim Kelly leads all comers today, 28 touches. Gaff, 23, and the rookie Jinby with 19. Darcy wins in at the centre bounce. Sheed first hands to the footy at ground level. H comes through. Gets a hand pass forward for Fremantle. Some hanging on. Brayshaw will get the free kick for the Dockers. Wants to move it on quickly. Lays the hand pass off. A little stab pass from Sarong. It was intended for Schultz. Cutting across. Sheed makes the spoil. Petreski-Seaton dragged off the football. Up against the boundary. Frederick about 40 out from goal. Retreats with a hand pass. Johnson on debut, swings it inside, good vision, finds Brayshaw, off a step from 48, goes the whole way home. Brilliant vision from Johnson to set up Brayshaw, and Brayshaw with the finish. The Dockers get the instant response. 3 minutes gone in the last quarter. It's back to an 8-point lead to Fremantle. 11-8-74. West Coast 9-12-62.
Big moment, big play there from Brayshaw. And they just like the composure. Johnson's come into the game in the third quarter, and just his composure and ability to find Brayshaw, great vision. Huge finish.
Frederick big as well to keep that ball alive. They knew they needed one, Freo, to stop the flow of West Coast Eagles goals, and as we see Ryan trotting on back onto the ground, which is good for the Eagles.
Keep an eye on him, Bridge. How did he look like going back out there?
Well, he's got the taping on the left knee, interestingly, so it's the knee that's troubling him. I'll watch him closely.
One down by Darcy from the restart. Hacked down of there by Sheed. Ball ricochets up perfectly for Darcy. Hands it off. Getting it towards Sarong. Hurry kick towards Setawing. Commentary side. The ball will take a turn and go over for a boundary throw in. Certainly not deliberate. The ball did bounce on its point. Spin away.
You never know.
No, that's true. Fair point. But surely not. Bridget Lacey downstairs.
Jago Ramirez had a lot of treatment in this second half. I'm just keeping an eye on him as well for Fremantle.
Back in again. Darcy with the fingertips. Won it down for the Dockers. Trying to get to it, Kelly. Aish was on the ground. Hand pass, though, stolen by Kelly. Gave it back to Sheed. Hand pass inboard for Waterman. Met solidly by Luke Ryan straight away. And he picks it up for the Dockers and gives it to Schultz and now to Switkowski. Freo away. It opens up for Switkowski. Hands it off to Schultz again. From left half forward. Inside forward 50. Walters drops the mark. That doesn't happen very often. Hearn was there to mop up for West Coast. Kick beyond defensive 50. Marked, though, by Henry at left half forward.
Dockers reload. Henry's just edged off the mark, so he's called to play on. Wanted to put the move on Petrevski-Seaton, who read the hand pass beautifully. Got the intercept inside to Long. There's a whistle. A push in the back on Petrevski-Seaton. And the Eagles will slow it down.
Halter play up a little bit there with that call.
Long thought about taking advantage, looked at the umpire and decided to give it back to Petrevski-Seaton. So the Eagles now switch to the outer side and it's Barras on defensive 50. Now straightens up to come up the corridor. And a mark and a hand pass release again for Cole. Receiving from Waterman towards full forward. Darling in the middle of the pack. Rode by Ryan, tackled high, no. Umpire said he dropped at the knees. No free kick. Sarong emerges with the football. Sweeps a hand pass to centre, back for Aish. Releases Switkowski with another hand pass. Space in front of Switkowski. Two bounces, steadies at 50. Again he searches for Walters and this time Walters hangs on to the mark. 20 metres out, angle a bit left of centre. And Fremantle going the length of the ground after Ryan wasn't paid the free kick.
Well, I want to see that replay because it looked like to me that he got absolutely clotheslined. Liam Ryan.
Yeah, he definitely got coat hangered, but the umpire's call, I think, was that he dropped the knees.
Yeah.
Well, dropped the one remaining.
The one knee he's got. We've seen a couple of those not paid this year, where the forward's the one trying to draw the contact. At the other end of the ground, though, Michael Walters converts for Fremantle. 4 goals for Sonny Walters. And Fremantle get consecutive goals for the first time since the second quarter. And they've got a handy break again of 14 points. 12-8-80 plays 9-12-66. This is the final quarter here on Grandstand AFL. Sharad Willingham and Cara Antonio, your experts.
He lent with the head in, Ryan. So I don't think that he dropped his knees, but he lent into it. So a bit of a borderline call there, but it is what it is. And Fremantle ran the length of the ground through some great play again. Switkowski didn't work out last time, but that one certainly did work out. And that clean set of heels he showed running through the middle was very impressive.
So 4 goals to Michael Walters. 14 points, Freo's lead. 7 gone in the last, Derby 56, the last game of round 3 of 2023. And the bounce, the umpire, well, it was the meeting of Williams and Darcy sandwich. He's okay, so is everybody else as it goes to ground, and Johnson gathers and tries to get a hand pass out. He's tackled, it'll be a ball up. Williams and Darcy again, outer edge of the centre circles. Darcy tapped it to himself and then hand passed up into the air. Johnson tried to slap it forward. Chesser got there first, broke one tackle. Hand pass Popped its way over the top to Kelly. Threw it on the boot immediately. Darling comes out to meet it. He's got it at centre half forward. Sweeps the hand pass to Waterman. Waterman back to Darling. He'll have to get rid of it. He does so to Kelly running by. Kelly sells some candy and chips straight into the chest of Clark. He gathered it again and then had a shot on goal and missed. That would have been, well, something remarkable. An assist like I've not seen for a long time. But a minor score. 9-13-67 the Eagles, 12-8-80 the Dockers, 8 gone in the final term. Liam Ryan is still out there. He's not moving smoothly at all. The Eagles down to just 1 on the bench at the moment. It's the youngster in Jinby.
McGovern, Shuey, Witherden and Cripps all out of the game. Taberner at half-back drops the mark.
Worth mentioning, with those players out in a side already with plenty of youngsters, that's 710 games of experience West Coast don't have out there in these crucial final stages.
And Tom Barrass, who's co-vice captain with Jeremy McGovern, would be the acting skipper right now with Shuey and McGovern both out. Oscar Allen in that leadership group as well. We'll need a ball up after the boundary throw-in to split them. O'Driscoll hands the ball back to the umpire. Darcy locks up with Williams once more. Wins the tap. Aish at ground level. A hand pass to Luke Ryan. Dodges around a couple. Darling came in physically. Scrubbing the kick along the ground from Aish. Went through the legs of Hunt, but he goes back to retrieve it. Tries to measure the kick to Darling or Sheed. Darling gets a knee into the hip. And he's a bit sore. The Eagles turn it over into the corridor. Bad place to lose the football. Henry, hand pass to O'Meara. Soft little pass to Taberner. Stretches out with the one hand. Takes the mark at centre half forward. Hand pass to the runner, Frederick. From long range, he heads for home. Drifting it across the face for a behind. 12-9-81 plays 9-13-67. 10 gone in the last quarter.
I think that Sheed kick ricocheted off one of the other West Coast players because it was going inside 50, and this turnover football for Fremantle is they're managing to transition the whole way down. So it's kind of an all or nothing attitude from West Coast at the moment.
Here's Hearn for Darling. Goes up and can't mark at right half back. Jinby tries to dive on top of the football. It came out to O'Meara though of the Dockers. To Sarong. Clever kick. Just caressed it inside forward 50 to Taberner, who marks 40 out from goal. 45-degree angle to the left.
Well, what do they say? You'd rather lose by 10 goals than 6 points. So I think the attitude from the Eagles, we saw it in that third quarter and it's transpired into this last. It is just move the ball on, play with a bit of heart, and unfortunately on turnover, they just haven't got the legs to run with Fremantle, and Taberner now has a shot to extend that lead.
Knows that he won't be subbed out today, Matt Taberner. The sub's already been made. Crosses the 50. Kicks out to the right-hand side. It won't be a goal. Big pack up. The Eagles happy to make sure it's through for a rush behind. 12-10-82 now. The Eagles 9-13-67. 11 gone in the final term.
Duggan a short pass to Petrevski-Seaton. Has Shannon Hearn on the lead, who takes the mark. Derby number 28 for Shannon Hearn. 3 on the list behind Pavlich and Mundy. Short pass to Hunt, who then switches play to the left-back pocket, and Barrass. A long kick down the southern wing. A couple of Eagles to choose from. Mark taken by Long. Has the runner going by in Duggan. He was the man that kicked in from the goal square. Now forward to the wing. Long kick inside 50. Ryan's at the back. He can't run and leap. Jackson left to mark all by himself. You can see there the issues that Liam Ryan has with those legs of his. He would have flown at that every day of the week previously. But the injury from the previous mark of the year attempt denied him on that occasion. The kick from Jackson towards the wing, a push out, and Tom Barrass has the free kick. Goes short, finds Chesser, approaching left half forward. The Dockers come across quickly to man the mark.
Travis Boak has also played a huge number of showdowns as well.
Chesser now towards full forward. Darling the target, can't quite get to it. Hewitt's there. Slapped out by Waterman, 30 metres out from goal. Soccer attempt from Switkowski to clear the area, came off the side of the boot. The Eagles retreating outside 50 with the football. Gaff sends it high again. Ryan tried to jump, leg almost collapsed beneath him. Quick kick out of the area by Pearce, bounces nicely for Switkowski, who gets through some traffic.
Hurried kick, but only as far as Hearn, who scoops it up on the wing and then puts it back inside forward 50, but on the chest of Luke Ryan. He'll switch play for the Dockers and they can be away down the outer wing. Young, sweeping hand pass to Johnson, fires the Polly Farmer hand pass forward to Frederick, runs towards true centre wing and then kicks in the direction of Henry. He marks and plays on and gets run down, but just got the kick away. Only as far as Petreski-Seaton, though, for the Eagles. He turned it over, and Petreski-Seaton can go short to Sheed, who marks in the left back pocket. The Dockers at 12-10-82, the Eagles 9-13-67. 13 minutes gone in the final term of Derby 56.
Sheed towards half-back. Barris on a long lead. Controlled the footy well once it hit the ground. And then handed it off to Duggan, who shanks the kick and puts it 5 rows into the crowd. Out of bounds on the full, Ethan Hughes to take the free kick. No one standing the mark. Long coming across late, and the umpire says you have to stand outside the area now. So Hughes kicks inboard and finds Young. Retreats with his kick, and now looks like Ryan's come in over the mark. So Liam Ryan's given away 50, and Hayden Young will be within scoring range now. Such a beautiful field kick. We'll check out his set shot, kicking for goal from 50 out, virtually directly in front.
It's a tough one. The poor thing can't move, and he's been told he couldn't stand the mark properly. But when things aren't going your way, everything seems to fall away. And now I really like Young. He's in the leadership group down at Fremantle. They clearly rate him, and he's a lovely kick of the footy. So let's see if he can get this one through.
Just one career goal from 38 games, Hayden Young. They trust him with the kick into play, and they'll trust him with this shot on goal as well. And that might just about be the killer blow midway through the last quarter. Fremantle 13-10-88, lead West Coast 9-13-67. Played 15 minutes in the final term in the Western Derby. You're listening to Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, I think it's all going to be a little bit too much for West Coast from here, as big as their heart has been so far. A really unfortunate one there, because Ryan was coming in as he took the mark, but his ability at the moment, he's not moving too fast and just kind of lingered his way in there, and the 50 was probably there off the back of his inability to move at any pace. But I still think that West Coast is showing some good heart, but Freo are just going about this in a very professional manner.
TV cameras have spotted the PM.
Sitting with Nigel Satterley.
Glass of red in hand.
Probably a BYO from Nigel.
Long-time Eagles sponsor, of course. Umpires elected to throw it up. Waterman stayed down and did well too, because Jackson tapped it straight to him, and Waterman's kick towards centre-half forward, marked by Young. Kicks the Dockers back in the middle of the ground. Schultz tapped it down to Switkowski on hands and knees, hand pass to Jackson, who dropped it cold when he had it. Goes again and tries to lock it in towards Sheed, who slapped it back in the direction of Kelly. Couldn't take it. Switkowski looking to continue on. Got it to Jackson. Swung the hand pass on in turn to O'Driscoll. Puts it into the right forward pocket. Amos, can he keep it in? No. Had 2 Eagles to beat. Waterman taking him over the boundary line for a throw-in. Bridget Lacey's downstairs.
They've been trying to give the mids a break. Bailey Williams is getting his turn now, so West Coast very thin in the ruck.
Very thin everywhere, with a total of 4 players out of action. Winning it down was Jackson. Switkowski tackled, lost it. Jinby, he got tackled by O'Meara. Got it to Cole though in turn. Worked it out towards Waterman. Kicks into the middle of the ground. Well done, Liam Ryan. He could barely move, but he was able to get in front of Hughes and take the mark in the centre circles.
Got off the ground a little bit that time, Ryan. Bounces a kick towards Gaff, about to be shut down by Wilson. Wilson gets his finger to this one, so the kick won't be paid a mark when it lands inside 50. Johnson applies a good tackle on Hewitt, brings him to ground, and the ball spills free. Aish at centre-half back for Fremantle, just throws on the boot, kicks it high and long. Amos opposed to Hearn. Amos did enough to keep it in front, but then Hearn, desperate, diving in at the feet, wins the footy. Hand passes out the back door to Sheed. Kicks on the right boot, floating it back into the middle for Duggan, who'll swing it towards the broadcast side. A bit scrappy with his kick. Ryan grabs the footy, hobbles, and then turns it over. No, floats it over the top of Henry to the runner Petreski-Seaton. It's untidy, but the Eagles are edging closer to goal. Swinging onto his right boot now It's Chesser towards full forward. A couple of Dockers make the spoil. It spills out the back. Hewitt close to the boundary, about 20 out, attacks the footy. Gives a hand pass away to Kelly. Tries to bend it around with the right. It's gone across the face and it bounces across the boundary line for a throw in. Bridget Lacey's just about the busiest person in the stadium.
Liam Ryan's had enough. He just came to the bench so poor old Bailey Williams didn't get much of a rest after all.
Despite his best efforts, he's a liability out there now, Liam Ryan. Should sit on the bench, as tough as that'll be for the rest of the Eagles players. Sarong gets a clearing kick away beyond defensive 50. Frederick put his shins to it. Bounced up though. Here's Duggan. Kicks West Coast back inside forward 50. Wobbly looking kick punched away by Brennan Cox. Aish keeps it in right up against the boundary line. Did well. Handed off to Sarong. Back to Aish by hand. Kicks in the direction of Darcy. Ricochets off his shins. It'll stay in play again. And then Johnson's happy enough with the blue boots to take the ball over the line for a boundary throw-in. 60 out from West Coast attacking goal. They're going to the city end of Perth Stadium, the right of our broadcast position in this final term. They trail on the scoreboard by 21. West Coast 9-13, Dockers 13-10. From the restart at the back, it comes to Jones, to Duggan. Kicks up into the air. He wanted Darling. Fist at the back from Brendan Cox. Spill down to O'Driscoll. Back to Hughes, to Cox again. Spins around in a circle in the right back pocket. And then kicks to the outer side where Schultz marks between right half back and centre wing.
21 points their lead, approaching time on. Kick inboard finds Hayden Young, the most recent goal kicker on the list for Fremantle. 9 goal kickers today for the Dockers as they look to switch it across their half-back line. Pearce, next link in the chain, kicks up the line to Johnson. Substitute who came on for Chapman, suffering a leg injury during the third quarter. Matthew Johnson gets the cheers of the crowd for taking that mark and then kicks towards half-forward. Cole sets himself, mistimed the leap. Taberner at ground level wins possession. Does well with the hand pass. Gets it inside to Frederick, who dances around Gaff easily. Dashes away from him. Hand passes inboard to Switkowski, who'll bend it home for a goal. 2 for Switkowski. He's worked very hard this afternoon. 21 possessions and a couple of goals. And Fremantle will chalk up their first victory of the season. 14-10-94. They lead West Coast 9-13-67. We're into time on in the last quarter here at Perth Stadium.
Great bit of play by Frederick. I love the way he just attacks. As soon as he sees the goals in front of him, he just attacks and goes at them, doesn't he?
He's quick, very, very quick.
And just his mindset, I love it. Run at goals, make the defender make a decision. I mean, Andrew Gaff did a reasonably good job of putting some pressure on him, but the support from Switkowski was there and he finished beautifully. Still a fair while to go in this quarter, and Fremantle need to probably start thinking about polling, getting some percentage boost after a not so crash hot start.
The Freo chant starts around the stadium. Umpire spotted a free kick in the middle, so Darcy's throwing the football and elects to take the free kick with a sweeping hand pass to O'Meara at centre half forward. Kick in the direction of Jackson! Flying up, marking in the goal square. Luke Jackson, 3rd mark of the day.
Well, this has been his best outing so far. And again, we spoke about it pre-call. He's had a number of critics, so it's nice to see him have an impact today.
Luke Jackson responds to the critics in the best possible way. He puts it through for his 2nd goal. The Dockers have 15 and they bring up the 3 figures. 15-10-100 to West Coast 9-12-66. As Sharrod said, a chance now to pile on some points for the Fremantle Dockers. Give their percentage a boost. West Coast, they've been gallant, but will they get completely overrun?
Yeah, I think that there's the potential for the remainder of the quarter. There'd still be plenty of time left. And it's not a nice thing to experience as a player at this point where you've given it absolutely everything and you've known it's just a second away from breaking. So
well, lost today and Fremantle may well have been sitting on the bottom, certainly equal bottom. Right now in the live letter, they're up to 9th, just 2 points out of the top 8 as Schultz has flown through the air. He's taken a screamer of a mark. He's not paid the mark, but now he'll get a free kick for a hold.
It was a mark. I think that was a mark.
Yeah, it looked like a mark.
Threw himself at the football, toppled over the top of the pack.
That's a mark.
Held it all the way to the ground. Not paid. They've moved it on quickly to Aish. He's 50 out. Flying shot from long range. Barras getting back, gets his fist to it and rushes it through for a behind. 34 points to Fremantle lead, 23 gone in the last quarter.
Flying shot from the modern flying doormat.
He is, isn't he? Oh, that's a definite mark. Look at the replay.
Unless it got touched on the way to him, there's no other reason it would have been. Ball's in dispute. Left half forward for Fremantle. Wilson picks it up off the deck, hard up against the boundary, gave it to Aish, kicked inside forward 50. The ball bounced up there for Hearn of the Eagles. Bit of Petreski-Seaton, now to Cole, kicks West Coast into the centre square, marked there by Hewitt. Wobbly looking kick, works its way to the logo. Alan Marks has to pause for a moment to allow players to run forward. Heads in the Darling direction, couldn't mark it. He's got Pearce to beat. Pearce put his body over the top, gets some support now as well. Coming in from the side there was O'Driscoll. Ruck starts to form at the back of it. It's picked up by O'Meara. Gave it out to O'Driscoll. Now they're away again. Brayshaw to O'Meara for the Dockers. Kicked in the direction of Schultz. Marks shy of right half forward. Freo players streaming forward. They're certainly going to have the run. Ability to roll through interchanges. They move it short, Fremantle. It's kicked in the direction of Brayshaw. He marks. Schultz trots by. Goes to lend some support inside forward 50. Brayshaw elects to go back. It's a Pearce who marks just forward of the southern wing.
As Switkowski hitting up on the lead, takes the mark low down. Front edge of the centre square. There's only a couple of pairs of players behind him on the field, so he doesn't send it long back inside 50. Flares it out wide once more with a kick to Brayshaw, back where he started.
It's not a lot of movement ahead of the footy, hence the kick mark kind of style of play.
Both teams will be happy for this siren to go pretty soon. Darcy, though, he's found a little pocket and he leaps in the air and takes the mark as Petreski-Seaton now looks as though he might have just tweaked an ankle trying to contest with the big man. 50 hit-outs this afternoon for Sean Darcy. Second time in a row against the Eagles he's raised the bat. And a shot for his second this afternoon.
He's had a dominant game. I thought Williams in that third probably took the chocolates, but Darcy, fantastic game, the 50 hit-outs and going back for his second.
So Sean Darcy to stretch the lead to 40 points. He's just leant back on the kick and let himself down a behind. 35 points is the lead. Caleb Sarong, 33 possessions. Aish, 28. Brayshaw, 27. Sharad, you're not voting today. Which way would you be leaning if you had the all-important casting vote?
It's been a really even contribution from Fremantle, so it's going to be a tough one for you.
Get off the fence, Sharad Willingham.
Sarong. But I think that Kelly's been amazing. I think that he was probably the main reason West Coast were able to stay alive. I thought that he had an amazing game today.
Here's Sarong again, tapping it forward to Aish. Comes back from Johnson to Sarong. Kicks inside forward 50. No mark taken then by Schultz. Ball's there in dispute. Will ball it up. Diving over the top of it and looking to work it out was Duggan. Tackled by Henry. Still inside Freo's forward 50. Darcy tapped it down. Schultz is there. Gathered, hand pass to Henry, tackled immediately by Jones, who's done well. He tried to tackle him, and at the very last minute knew that it could have been a head slam and actually sort of, well...
lowered him down, didn't he?
I would say cradled him to the ground. He got away with that. Thrown up again. Here's Darcy once more to Johnson, the debutant. Hand pass bounces into the ground, left forward pockets. Henry bounces the ball back with a kick, but only as far as the Eagles through Jones. Now to Shee, kicks beyond defensive 50. He wants Darling, tries to gather under pressure up against Hughes, and Hewitt can't keep it in either with Wilson providing the pressure. It's over for a boundary throw in right beneath our broadcast box. There's the official crowd, 56,090. Not far off Fremantle's record derby crowd of 56,521 back in round 6 of 2018. But 56,090 in this afternoon.
The majority of those supporting the team in purple, they'll go home pretty happy today. Their team up by 35. Can they add to that now? Clark breaks away from the boundary throw-in, puts it out in front of O'Meara, can't take the mark. Schultz comes through, hand pass to Frederick, on the dash, bends it home. It wasn't the backflip, but it was a running side flip somehow. Oh, you'll see that on the replays throughout the week. Not so sure J-Lo was so impressed. But Frederick, what a goal, and 41 points as the Fremantle lead, 16-12, 108 to 9-13-67.
Surely a 10 from the Russian judge.
10.
A
10.
That was very good. On the run too.
That was incredible.
All class. Great finish.
Tell you what, Sam Kerr would be impressed by that.
That was a backflip.
The running forward backflip. They call it a blackout. When you're doing it into a pool, it's called a blackout.
Well, there you go. You can just tell, though, now Fremantle running over the top. Their ability to run out of contests much quicker and with much more purpose than the Eagles.
I hope that he doesn't get told to not do that by JL, because I love that.
Yeah, that's great.
It was tremendous to watch. I guess if you can prove you can do it without getting yourself in any risk of being hurt, then you should be allowed to do it. Sam Kerr's shown for a number of years for the Matildas. She can do it, and for Chelsea, and for Perth Glory. Free kick in the middle to restart, going the Dockers' way. They'll send it inside forward 50. Brayshaw to Sarong. Kicks inside the attacking 50, and Schultz marks.
Well, we probably knew the game was going to get blown open at some point with the lack of rotations for the Eagles, but again, they've been impressive up until probably, 5 or 6 minutes ago, and Fremantle now just putting the foot on the pedal and, as you said, Shaz, adding to that percentage that they really needed after the first 2 rounds.
Lockie Schultz doesn't try to kick a goal. Stabbed it short. Frederick picked it up. Got pinged.
He wanted
holding the ball.
Backflip.
He did. Couldn't get it away, though. Was tackled. West Coast with the free kick as Hunt goes on a little bit of a run, and that kick's just long enough to be a mark. Taken there by Chesser.
Campbell Chesser, game number 3. 12 possessions today. Short to Sheed. That didn't go far enough, and he's dispossessed in a very strong tackle from Schultz. Here's Frederick again. Hand pass to Schultz. Tries to bat it on out of mid-air towards Henry. Didn't get that far. Hearn in the way. And West Coast, through a chain of hand passes, get it back to Sheed. And at half back, he sends it long up the line. Charging through, though, Hughes. Hand pass to Brayshaw. Searching for Jackson with that kick. Missed him by a couple of metres. Barras with a hand pass to Gaff. From half back to the wing with his kick, but there's no run from the Eagles at all now. Not surprising with all the injuries. Pearce off to Jackson. Ace will keep running. He receives. Long kick. Schultz at the back can leap. Henry's there too. So too Amos. He becomes the tackler on Cole. And the siren ends it. Puts the Eagles out of their misery. And Fremantle, after 2 failed attempts, finally have their first victory of the new season. They had to work hard for it, and the Eagles lost some soldiers. But it's the Dockers by 41 points in Western Derby 56.
Someone pushed the button just a little bit early. Nonetheless, the Fremantle Dockers will be celebrating a 4th straight Derby win and a first win for 2023. West Coast gallants. The injuries proved far too much to overcome. For Fremantle, Michael Walters kicked 4, 2 each to Sam Switkowski, Michael Frederick, Luke Jackson and Jai Amos, singles to Darcy, to Schultz, to Brayshaw and to Young. While for the West Coast Eagles, 3 to Darling, 3 to Oscar Allen, singles to Hunt, Sheed and to Waterman. West Coast led by a point at quarter time, Fremantle by 22 at the half. They only led by 8 at three-quarter time, but then the numbers told, and Fremantle won out by 41. 16-12, 108 to 9-13, 67. It's a big win for the Dockers. Their first of the year, as I said, but it pushes them up percentage-wise on the ladder, which means round 3 finishes. And who would possibly have thought this at the start of the season? With Ross Lyons St Kilda on top of the ladder over Collingwood in top spot because of percentage. The Saints are on top, and the reigning premier in Geelong, they sit last. 0-3 to start the year, 83% their percentage. We're about to have the Derby medal presented downstairs. We'll take you there in just a moment. But let's get the thoughts first to start things off from our experts, Sharad Wellingham and Cara Antonio on Grandstand AFL.
Yeah, amazing effort from West Coast. That's what I think is probably the biggest story of the day is the fact that they were able to just show heart for 3.5 quarters and stick it out. Both teams started really well, and I really liked the way they were being aggressive and free-flowing and taking the game on, moving the ball quickly. Both sides, there was no hesitation, no going back off the mark. It was free-flowing and aggressive. So I really liked it, and I think both sides will take a lot of confidence from that. West Coast, I think, just have to bank that and go, look, we can still take it up against a good side in Fremantle. Obviously got battered around and lost a couple of big players through injury. But the powers that be and all the players after that game from West Coast's point of view, I think will be really proud of themselves. They won't be going, oh, we let one slip there. I think that they should have the attitude of, we gritted that out really well for a side that didn't have a bench for pretty much, what do you reckon, 45 minutes? The footy?
Yeah.
So
I would never count when Ryan came on in the last quarter.
No,
God, no.
That was
not
just
at all.
To give someone a break on
Absolutely.
the actual bench.
So yeah, almost a quarter and a half of football, West Coast didn't have
the bench,
a fit player on the bench.
Yeah.
A fit
and
player
Shuey goes
being
out
the appropriate
early.
term.
Shuey goes out early.
Yeah.
Duff goes out in the second.
So Shuey goes out at the start of the second quarter. Let's head downstairs for the presentations.
And thank you, RAC, for your support of this great rivalry. RAC are passionate advocates for road safety, and the RAC Derby is an example of how partnerships can be used to drive important community outcomes. Before we present the RAC Trophy for RAC Derby 56 to the winning team, we will now award the Glendenning Allen Medal. The voters are, from TV Media, Will Schofield, from Print Media, Glenn Quartermain, and from Radio Media, Cara Antonio. I'd like to welcome Ben Allen to present the Glendenning Allen Medal for RAC Derby 56. And the winner of the Glendenning Allen Medal with the maximum number of 9 votes from the Fremantle Dockers, the number 3, Caleb Sarong.
Caleb Strong comes across 35 disposals today, 16 of those contested, 2 marks, 12 inside 50s.
First of all, thanks West Coast. It's always a hard-fought game. We love the competition. It's a great rivalry, and yeah, really appreciate it. Good luck for the rest of the year. The crowd, it's been a tough couple of weeks. Yeah, we'll be the first ones to say we haven't played the footy we would have wanted, but we felt like we got our game going a little bit tonight. We'll keep improving, but we love your support, so thank you. The boys, like I said, been a tough couple of weeks, but we stuck at it, we stuck to our process, and like I said, we'll keep getting better, so thank you very much.
Thanks, Caleb. It's now our pleasure to invite RAC Senior Vice President John Driscoll to present the RAC Derby Trophy to the Fremantle Dockers.
Fremantle's 24th Derby win. Their captain Alex Pearce will come across to receive the Derby Trophy. The stylistic football in silver on the plinth.
Firstly to Luke and the Eagles boys, it was another tough contest and a few men down but kept fighting out like you always do. I really wish you all the best, and all the boys didn't make the end of the game, wish you all the best as well. To our boys, we had a tough couple of weeks, but we've got to work with the help of our coaches, so we'll keep moving forward, but we took a step today. To everyone out here, 57,000 for sticking with us for the last couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
That's where we'll leave the presentation downstairs. One of the things I do admire about Fremantle is if you don't put money into the club, they're not mentioning where you're coming from. Just radio, TV and newspapers. Unlike at a West Coast where they will actually say who voted and where they're from and what votes they gave. One of the weird consistencies about the two clubs in this part of the world. Nevertheless, here's how they did vote now that we've been able to find such things out. The votes went this way. Will Schofield from Fox Footy, 3 votes Caleb Sarong, 2 votes Sean Darcy, and 1 vote to Sam Switkowski. Glenn Quartermain of the West and of the ABC on weekends, I should say. 3 votes Caleb Sarong, 2 votes Tim Kelly, and 1 vote from Michael Walters, and from our own Cara Antonio. Should you just tell us? I don't want to read out what you've got here. You tell us what you voted for. How silly would that be? Who did you vote for, Cara?
I went the 3 with Caleb Sarong, thought he was dominant inside. The 2 to Sean Darcy, and 1 I thought Tim Kelly just soldiered on, had to take the brunt of a lot of work when Shuey went off. I gave him the 1 vote.
So that means Kelly will get 3 votes in the Christian medal for the West Coast Eagles, and we'll need to find ourselves a 1 vote as well in the Fremantle Dockers and a...
No.
Yeah.
What?
Well, Cara's voted for Caleb Sarong and Sean Darcy, so they will get... Remember, it's Christian medal, we split them. That's the ABC Footballer of the Year votes. But both West Coast and Freo get a 3, 2 and 1.
Each.
Always have.
I've never even
I will say about 10 years ago, I questioned why we do this. And then I got told to just sit in my corner.
Do it.
So I've never changed it since.
So we need a 1 from Freo and then...
You need a 1 from Freo and a
2 and a 1
and a 2 and a 1 from West Coast. Yes, we split them.
Okay, we'll get to work then.
Only because I guess if we change it now, we're going to have to change everything else as we've done along the way. The Fremantle Dockers will be some time making their way down to the room, so you're not going to miss anything with the song or indeed an interview for you. We're with you for about another 17 minutes here on Grandstand AFL, but the Dockers have been given plenty of giveaways to hand out to their supporters as they celebrate a win in Derby 56, and these weird trends of runs continue. 4 straight now for Fremantle up against the West Coast Eagles, and they leap up to 9th. Their percentage now 112.1. That's a big jump from 88.6 as it was at the start of these proceedings.
One of the curious things with derbies and showdowns is the margins of the games, and this is the 27th time in 56 derbies that the result's been between 5 and 10 goals. And it just doesn't happen in the showdowns for whatever reason. It's only happened 12 times. One of those was last night, which, similar to today, was a bit of a last few minutes blowout, which just got to 31, so it just falls into that category. But there's only been 8 derbies ever that have been single-figure margins, and another 8 falling in that 10 to 19 range, whereas the showdown have had 16 single figures and another 9 in that 10 to 20 range as well. So it's just a quirk in the two rivalries between those two footy states, WA and South Australia. We for whatever reason, today was an anomaly with all those injuries. I think without the injuries, we could have seen it go right down to the wire, but it wasn't to be.
Which is an interesting, because we'll look at this game in 20 years' time and go, oh, it's another blowout.
Yeah.
But it wasn't up until about the 14-minute mark of the final term.
Yeah.
West Coast were right in this contest, absolutely in it. And I would argue that if they'd had, as you said, without not just no one on the bench, but really no one on the bench for a long period of time, this could have been an absolute cracker. It was a hugely entertaining game for three-quarters of footy.
So, devil's advocate, hindsight or whatever you want to call it, if West Coast players don't get injured, do you think that they would have won?
No.
They would have won?
No. But I think it would have been within a kick or so. I just think Freo had a little bit more polish. But what I liked about the game was how close it was when everybody was fit and up and about. And we did see swings.
Yeah.
Saw Fremantle's second quarter and then West Coast third quarter when, admittedly, they'd been without Shuey for an entire quarter at that stage, but had still been able to fight their way back into the contest. We can get down to the multiverse if we want, but I still think Freo would have got over the line.
I think West Coast would have got over.
Do you? Is that because of the colours in the cupboard at home? Or
I don't know.
Cracking game of footy for 3 quarters. Let's head down into the rooms. Fremantle are making their way down there now. Derby 56 is theirs, and so remains bragging rights in the state of WA for some months to come. Bridget Lacey.
Yeah, there's a big crowd in here today, all wanting to get around Matt Johnson of the debutant carrying the Derby trophy in and getting a huge cheer from all the family and friends in the house here. Dale Alcock standing proudly beside Simon Garlick and Justin Longmuir, the coach, at the back of the room, just keeping their distance. Suspect there's going to be a little bit of sports drink thrown around here again, guys. So I almost got hit last week, so just going to keep an eye on that. Ready to go. Matt Johnson, Jacob O'Meara and Luke Jackson in the middle. There you go. Hopefully get a player for you shortly.
And they could have pushed Jai Amos into the middle for a derby as well. His debut derby today. Jai Amos, congratulations to him. A couple of goals. I'm with you. Not that this means anything, but the sheer joy of the Michael Frederick celebration, I hope the coaches don't say, don't do that, mate.
You just never know.
No, and I know that sometimes you've got any chance you could get injured. No, he's proven that he can do a backflip.
Like a bloody professional gymnast.
Absolutely. Yeah. So there was never an issue that he's going to land badly, in which case if you can consistently do that, then off you go.
Maybe don't consistently do it, but that was a big nail in the coffin moment in the game,
right time,
and it was the right time, and I love it. They're out there entertaining us. You've got to provide something different.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it, and I hope that he doesn't get any backlash on it at all.
Kara's on the coaching staff at Subiaco this year. If one of the Lions pulled that out at the end of round 1, what do you say?
End of round 1. Maybe not end of round 1. I think
this is only round 3.
Yeah. I don't know. I think after the last couple of weeks, backs have been against the wall. There's been pressure built. In the moment of the game, it was a fantastic finish by Frederick, and he wanted to celebrate. I love it.
So you beat East Perth in round 4, who are the co-tenants. You're happy to...
Bloody oath, do 2 backflips.
That's what I thought you'd be saying that. What a remarkable round. What a remarkable season it's been so far. I'm still staggered by... Geelong have been right in them, but to be 0-3 for the reigning premier is still remarkable, and I'm just delighted in what St Kilda have been able to do. The Saints have been absolutely up and about. If you'd like to have your say, we'd love to hear from you. Send us a text, 0437 774 774, if there's something you'd like to say about what you've made of the footy so far. Today, those results, Gold Coast getting their first win of the season, beating Geelong by 19 points, and the Demons absolutely thumped the Swans by 50 points. Petrarca with 32 disposals, by the way, for Melbourne. And then Derby 56 wraps things up here with Fremantle 16-12, 108 to the Eagles 9-13-67. We'll get the other votes to complete our Christian Medal votes for you in just a second, but Dave Lindsay's got all the numbers in front of him. Dave?
The Eagles won on the stat sheet. Total disposals plus 15, 377 to 362. The difference was in the kicks, 213 to 193. Marks were the Eagles' way by 4, 84 to 80. Inside 50s though, Fremantle won those 63 to 54. And the hit-outs, well, that was heavily in the Dockers' favour all day today. 69 to 16 with Sean Darcy finishing with 52 hit-outs. Luke Jackson with 17. Bailey Williams, the leader for the Eagles, with 14. Leading possession winners, Caleb Sarong, the winner of the Glendinning Allen Medal. 20 kicks, 15 hand passes. 16 of his 35 possessions were contested. 2 marks, 12 inside 50s and 8 tackles to go with 8 clearances in a medal-winning performance for Caleb Sarong. James Aish had 31 possessions. Brayshaw, 28. Switkowski, 21. 41 and 2 goals. Sean Darcy, 20 possessions to go with his 52 hitouts, also kicked a goal. Ryan and Schultz with 19 touches each. And Luke Jackson with 12 possessions, took 3 marks, kicked 2 goals and 17 hitouts in his best performance since moving to Fremantle. Meanwhile, for the West Coast Eagles, Tim Kelly, 33 possessions to lead the way for them, 14 kicks, 19 hand passes. He had 5 clearances as well, a couple of behinds today for Tim Kelly. Andrew Gaff, 28 possessions, probably booed for 23 of those 28, I'd say, as well. Shannon Hearn, 27 possessions for him in defence. Dom Sheed with 22 possessions and a goal. Hunt, 22 possessions, also kicked a goal today. And Sam Petrevsky-Seaton with 22 touches as well for the West Coast Eagles.
So you're Justin Longmuir, you break through with this win. It is a derby. It always means more. Anyone who has played in them in the past will now admit that. Anyone currently involved with the club won't say anything. But what do you now tell your players after that win? Because the Dockers now head across to Adelaide. They've got Adelaide in Adelaide, and then they'll stay there for the Gold Coast, the game on Friday, the early Friday game of Gather Round at Norwood, and then the Western Bulldogs to come. Can they get a bit of a bounce now, getting a derby victory?
Yeah, I think so. I think that they can really build momentum off the back of that. It was... I'm sure that during the week they'll go through the usual process. They won't try and beat it up too much, but as players, you get that first win, you're like, all right, now we can get cracking, especially when you play a game where you play a different style of footy than you have the 2 weeks before, and you go, oh, we didn't win when we played that way, but we won when we played this way. Let's just keep doing that. It can certainly be a catalyst for a bit of a flow on, and like you said, Clint, they've got a couple of away games coming up, so good time to get together. I loved it when you're on an away trip and you got together and you're around each other the whole time. Admittedly, they'll be away for probably 10 days, won't they?
Yep.
Admittedly, I never did a 10-day away trip, but it'll be really good. They would have all been used to it through the COVID protocols and things like that, and they'll just go, all right, we've got our first win of the season, now let's go take care of business and get together, and we'll build off that, and this can be our jump board to the rest of the season.
The AFL average for goals per inside 50 entry is 1 in 4. Fremantle were nowhere near that for their first 2. They were 3.93 for their inside 50 entries for their goals, kicking 16 today. What was the difference for Fremantle today, Car?
I think it was just we mentioned it throughout the call, the speed on ball and the quick bounce off half back. It was clearly a direction, even when they got a mark from 70 out, that they wanted to handball, chain it out and get it in quickly. But really, I think a lot of their goals came from their work rate back towards goal, getting West Coast out the back with their speed. So Swikowski kicks 2, Frederick gets on the end, Walters kicks some. All their smalls really stood up today. It wasn't a big name forward like Taberner that had to kick a bag. So I think that's a real positive that they can take from that.
I feel like that was maybe a touch after the... that was a result of them having, like you said, that first bit where they were like, let's just play on and get it in there and not let the West Coast defence settle.
Let's head down into the Fremantle rooms. The Dockers victorious 16-12, 108 to West Coast, 9-13, 67. A 41-point win in front of 56,090 people. Downstairs in the Dockers rooms, Bridget Lacey.
Thanks, Clint. Lucky enough to be joined by the Glendenning Allen medalist again, Caleb Sarong, and of course the vice-captain of the Fremantle Dockers. How big was that win for you boys today?
Yeah, it was big. We've been challenged the last couple of weeks. We can stand here and say that's not the way we wanted to play the last 2 weeks, and felt like it was a response during the week. That win was built off the way we trained during the week and our ability to, I guess, stay present, listen to the stuff that matters. We've been written off a fair bit, so it was important to get our game going. I felt like we were able to do that in parts tonight, but we still have a lot of improvement.
How much was that about getting around each other? Because I was watching you when you were coming out onto the field. There was a lot of hugging, a lot of getting around each other, and of course Luke Jackson copped it a lot during the week as well, and I'm sure you got around him. How big was that as a group, just to sort of have that togetherness when it felt like the walls were caving in?
Yeah, one of our biggest pillars in our trademark is connection. We want to support each other. We want to get around each other. We're a part of a family. A lot of us have come from interstate, so we're all really close as mates as well off the field. So we felt like the criticism of certain individuals, especially Luke, was extremely unfair. So we chucked our arms around him. He was able to respond tonight, kicked a couple of nice goals, and he's just going to keep getting better for us, and him and Sean are going to keep getting better as a duo as well. So felt like our energy was high tonight. Like you said, there was a lot of celebration, a lot of things that we only would celebrate that probably wouldn't be seen from the outside world, and that's something that we've been working on. So that's part of the Freo footy.
And West Coast obviously had a lot of issues on the bench injury-wise today. How much were you aware of that as a team, and how much did you look to exploit that later in the game?
We were aware of it, but from a trying to exploit it point of view, we were speaking about it, but it's kind of the way we want to play anyway. We want to really drive through the corridor and use our numbers and allow our fast, small forwards to get goal side and try and use them. So felt like we were able to do that a little bit more as they got a little bit tighter with the less rotations, but it doesn't change the way we wanted to play. We want to use the width of the ground and then be able to come back through the corridor. So they probably just highlighted the way we wanted to play, and we're able to kind of get some better looks, but it didn't really change the way we played at all.
Send you upstairs for some questions. Clint Wheeldon, Dave Lindsay, Cara Antonio and Sherrod Wellingham.
Caleb, Cara Antonio here. First of all, congratulations. I'll come past the club during the week for the free coffee for giving you the 3 votes.
Thank you.
Today. No, you're outstanding. Also, just a special mention to all the crew out in Bunyip in Gippsland. I said if you were on here, I'd give you guys a shout out there. My grandparents obviously live out there and are good friends with your grandparents.
Yep. Gippsland, good Gippsland people.
Absolutely. Going back to your brand of footy, you just mentioned it. What does that look like? I know in previous weeks you've played a bit more of a kick mark kind of game and teams have been able to close you up. Today it looked more free-flowing, run off the half-back and drive inside forward 50.
Yeah, I feel like our game, simply put, starts in the contest, and that has let us down the last couple of weeks, so you probably haven't seen the way we wanted to play from that point of view. So we feel like as a ball movement in our game plan, it comes off our team defence and our contest, and like I said, that hasn't been good enough the last couple of weeks, so we felt like we got some better looks this week from our contest and contest wins. But from an actual ball movement point of view, we feel like the last couple of weeks, whilst we have been possessing it a little bit, we feel like we've still got some really good looks. Some of the kicks that Hayden Young, Heath Chapman, Jordan Clark are hitting through the corridor, and then the handball receives are getting as well. We feel like they're still giving us some really good looks, even the last couple of weeks, but we just haven't been able to finish inside 50, which has been spoken about a little bit. So I feel like that lack of connection inside 50 is probably highlighted and I guess made the issue probably bigger than it is. I feel like if we had to connect it a little bit better, it wouldn't be an issue. So that's something that we're continuously working on, but we feel like the connection was probably a little bit better tonight.
Caleb, congratulations on the win. Congratulations on a second Glendenning Allen medal. One from completely left field, the Michael Frederick celebration. Did you know that was coming, the backflip?
Had no idea. It blew me away. If I tried to do that, I wouldn't have even got past my neck. I would have landed straight on it, I reckon. So I spoke to him after the game. He said to one of his mates that if he kicked one and the crowd was up and about, there was a bit of energy, and he kicked it on the run, he was going to do it. So it all lined up for him. At that point, we probably had the game secured, and he was able to get one on the run and do it. So that's what we love. We love guys showing some personality. So it was great.
We love watching it. We love watching you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, guys.
Caleb Strong downstairs. I will just say the good judges voted for him at the very start of proceedings as well. We need the final votes in the Christian medal, please, if we can. So the ABC Football of the Year, 3 to Sarong, 2 to Darcy, 1 to Tim Kelly. So Fremantle, 3 to Sarong, 2 to Darcy, and the 1
to Switkowski.
And for the West Coast Eagles?
3 to Tim Kelly, as we said.
Yep.
2 to Shannon Hearn and 1 to Oscar Allen.
1 to Oscar Allen. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you very much. Cara Antonio, Sherrod Wellingham, Dave Lindsay, outstanding work. Bridget Lacey downstairs. Martin Roth, our tech, who makes sure we get to air. No one has more passion for footy than Martin Roth. It's fantastic to have him in the box. Thanks very much. Back in the studio are Cash and Jen. And thanks to everybody across the network. Round 3, wrapping up. Derby 56 goes the way of the Dockers. They beat West Coast by 41 points. Clint Wheeldon.